Welcome. We're going to go long in our big opening segment today because Steve Kerr is going to be joining us at 3:30, which means for the next 25 minutes, we're going to be setting up pretty much what we're talking to Steve about. And that was a very odd game for the Warriors, who came out last night, Ray, playing with such a pace that both they and the Phoenix Suns were both teams were getting shots up in 8 seconds or less. I mean, the pace to that game was almost unsustainable. And then a little bit later on in that second half of the game, we saw it slip through the Warriors' hands, and we saw Klay Thompson officially lose his cool in a very, mellow Klay Thompson way. Still, though, the first ejection of his career, and Devin Booker officially got under the skin of Klay Thompson and probably the rest of the Warriors because he was the best player on that court last night.
He is what they've been waiting for him to be, which is the dominant figure on a good team. It has been Chris Paul in the past, but at some point Devin Booker was going to emerge and be their alpha. And I don't know if last night was the first time he's done it. I suspect he's probably done it a few times here and there in past seasons. But I think what we saw last night was Devin Booker become their full-on go-to guy in good moments and bad.
And I'm not saying that we are watching Klay Thompson's demise in real time. Klay's got a lot of really good basketball left in him, but he's having trouble finding it right now. That much is obvious. Last night, Devin Booker finished with 34 points. Klay had a bucket, 2 points. It's all he had before he got ejected last night. And I got to tell you, I've heard every show talk about Klay Thompson, and we're going to get into Klay, but I do want to start just for a minute, just to work differently than every other show that's been on today. I want to start with Devin Booker for just a second.
He's a competitor.
He is. He's a real competitor, and I got to tell you, he earned an awful lot of my respect last night. Devin Booker did. He's not making any apologies for what he did, and he certainly doesn't owe anyone any apology for what he did. Klay Thompson has something that Devin Booker wants. More specifically, Klay Thompson's got 4 things, and Devin Booker just wants one of them. You can't have 4 unless you get 1, and he wants it. And look, Klay gets ejected for the first time in his career, and one of the reasons why he was ejected, Ray, is because he was getting cooked as Klay Thompson has ever gotten cooked, I think, in an NBA game. Booker owned him. Anything he wanted to do with Klay Thompson guarding him, he did. Anything Klay Thompson wanted to do didn't work out offensively. And a guy whose defense really doesn't dip when his offense is dipping, but he's still not where he wants to be defensively, finally, I think we saw an awful lot of frustration boil to the surface last night with Klay Thompson. And it's not just about the game. I think we are seeing a player being confronted with his own basketball mortality for the very first time. I think we got 2 players on the Golden State Warriors who are being confronted with their basketball mortality for the very first time. Draymond Green, we all know what his sort of panicky reaction was to it, literally striking a younger player. And Klay Thompson isn't going to do that. But when you got to start going to the let's count my rings while you're literally counting point totals that are drifting into the 20s, into the low 30s against me, you're not counting the right thing. Because, and I got to say this, Ray, I've been enamored with the Warriors dynasty. It's fascinating. You know how many rings they have pertaining to this season? None. And they better start operating like that. Anyone who wants to just play based on memory ain't going to go far. I don't want to hear any more about who's got 4 rings, who's got 3 rings, who's got 2 rings, who's got 1. It doesn't matter. Collectively, all of you, Steve Kerr included, got no rings from this season. You're going after the first ring of this year. You want to call it a 5th ring? Go right ahead. But the ring this year is what matters. Those other 4 are going to be reserved for a story to be told another time.
Yeah, I don't know that we can make a ton out of what he said about the number of rings he's got. except that I think he's frustrated by the way he's playing. I think that's what came to the fore last night. And if you look at it, it's not so much that he's shooting poorly, although the last 2 games he's like 4 for 18, because he's gone through stretches like that before. He is a really good shooter who is prone to slumps. I think for the most part, it's because he wanted to break out quickly this year because he's had to govern his play for now almost 3 full years because of injuries. And I think he wanted to start fast, and he's starting meh. I mean, he's not awful, but I think he's just sort of ordinary. And I think Devin Booker got under his skin because of that. And I don't think it's anything bigger than that because it's so out of character, it doesn't represent a trend in my way of thinking yet.
No. And someone from the 707 on the Xfinity mobile text line right now says, guys, let's think about it for a minute. The Warriors, they might be in trouble. You know, they're 2-2. They got 2 wins against 2 bad teams, and they've lost against good teams. Devin Booker, when guarded by Klay Thompson last night, was fantastic. And, you know, I mean, here's the deal. I'm not worried about the defense that they're not playing. As a matter of fact, I made myself a promise, and I want you to make yourself a promise too. Don't ever worry about the outcome of an NBA game played in the month of October. There you go. I just made your life so much easier. You do not need to worry about October outcomes. It's just October. This is basically real life training camp come to life, is all it is for a while here. Obviously, you want to get off to a good start. The Warriors have certainly bragged in their past about their good starts. And I'm not saying that they're off to a bad start in anywhere. They're 2-2. It's just they're slowly playing themselves into this year. And I'm wondering if that's not generating a little bit more tension. Because not only is Klay Thompson's basketball mortality, not only is he looking at it in the mirror as he looks at himself, but he is now looking at a team that is developing players behind him that might quickly be, at the worst, his equal, if not soon to be his superior, if he doesn't get back what he wants in terms of his physical abilities and his ability to move and just find the Klay Thompson-y Thompsonness again. It's going to be hard to do. He's coming off of injuries that have ended careers, especially when they've been compounded like the two of them were, just one right on top of the other. So there's a lot of frustration. It's been a few weeks of frustration for the Golden State Warriors, and you saw it boil over last night. And as Klay got ejected, I got to tell you, the frustration was just on one side of that ejection. Like, whatever static there was between Klay and Booker, only Klay was really demonstrating it, man. I mean, only Klay was demonstrating that. Devin was cool with the way it was all going down. And afterwards, what he said, I thought was just an indication that Devin Booker's about to really take a step forward as a leader, because he said what he had to say about Klay Thompson getting ejected, but he did it in the most respectful way humanly possible.
I love Klay Thompson. I have for a really long time, but that doesn't excuse us from being competitive and talking to each other. I've always admired his game, how he plays on both sides of the ball, and obviously the rings speak for themselves. But like I said, I'm gonna bring it every time.
There you go. I mean, what more do you want to say? I love that guy. I wanted to be that guy. I admire him greatly. His trophy case is something that I'd like to emulate one day, but I'm not going to sit around slack-jawed and impressed in the same game that I'm playing. Like, it is my job to make his career shorter. And that's what I want to do. Like, I got more respect for Devin Booker today than I've ever had at any point in time in his career. I really do. He handled that whole thing perfectly, I thought.
Yeah, he didn't jump up and down on a grave that doesn't yet exist. And he handled it sort of the way somebody who 2 years ago couldn't have done that 2 years ago.
Yeah, I think he would have been like showboating a little bit more.
Well, he would have been talking more smack. But now he's been at it for 5 years, and he knows how hard it is to get there because they thought they were there last year and didn't get there. And I think there's a level of education that comes with that. As to the rest of it, I think that he didn't have to be frustrated because he was the one having the really good game. So, I mean, that made sense to me. It just, why is he going to be frustrated? I think he's sort of transitioning into the guy who understands that October basketball doesn't tell you anything.
And look, why would Devin Booker want Klay Thompson thrown out of that game? You're cooking him. You don't want that guy to play less minutes when you're getting over on him so decisively. Booker continued in this press conference.
Having a tough night, I think everything plays into that. His frustration, I've been there before, and what they have the 4 rings, so they're gonna use that in all the trash talk, rightfully so, respectfully, but they don't have nothing to do with competing.
There you go. And he went on to say, look, Klay, the trash talking from Klay basically hit one note.
They have 4 rings. They repeat it over and over, and they do.
And here's the thing. Booker even respects it. He's like, they do have 4 rings. That is, you can't talk back to that in trash talking. You really can't. A ring count is impressive. And having said all that, I don't want to hear another word about it. I really don't. I don't want to hear another word about how many rings anyone has won. I don't. It's great that you all have the confidence that comes with that. It's what will give you an edge in every single playoff matchup you play. Last night, the edge was the Phoenix Suns were embarrassed how their season ended, thought that they should have had a bite at the Warriors' apple, didn't get it, and flexed a little bit last night. DeAndre Ayton, he basically hates the Phoenix Suns. Even though he's their starting center. He hates being in Phoenix. He hates the Phoenix Suns. He said the reason why the Warriors didn't like the Phoenix Suns because they don't like getting pushed around, and they got pushed around in that second half last night.
Teams don't like that when you keep hitting over and over, especially to the legal limit. People get frustrated and they complain to refs, and the game got a little junky, but we stayed here because last year I think we would have kept going back and forth throughout that game right there. That was one of those games where them dudes wanted us to go back and forth with baskets, and they'll end up taking over the game later in the long stretch. So we definitely put them away.
There you go. Team wants to run with you. Well, you got to start slowing them down. You got to start grinding against them. And they did. They did. I tell you what, it's the rare game where I applauded Draymond Green's technical foul, immediately followed with another tech for Steve Kerr because he was defending his guy. Draymond was right to be upset. Steve Kerr was right to be upset. And even if they had lost that game by the margin of those technical free throws, it was still the right thing to do. It was still the right thing to do to get up and just say, no. Hey, Mr. Official, you blew that. You blew that massively. That was a common foul, easily seen from the top row of the damn stadium. Why the referee standing on top of the play didn't see it, I really don't know.
Because they're evil.
They must be. We're going to ask Steve Kerr about all that coming up at 3:30.
Yeah, no, I think part of the Warriors' general frustration, above and beyond the fact that they didn't like the game, the way the game is officiated, is the fact for the third game in a row, they've done literally none of the things they are used to doing on defense. And it's not because they're not working at it. It's because they're not working smartly at it, it seems to me. They looked like they were, if not confused, then sort of a half step slow.
And the confusion is not just on the bench. The starters look a little defensively confused and out of whack right now.
No, the two guys who defended well last night, I thought, were Green and Looney. I think everybody else was flat. In a game where we'll forget about this game in 2 weeks. They're going to have to, because they've got 78 more of these waiting for them.
Good math.
But thank you. I can do that in my head. But it's now 3 games in a row where they have not defended well. And that is almost unprecedented for their good teams. Again, knock out the 2 years of awfulness.
Sure.
When they couldn't defend ever. But I don't remember the last time they were this inept defensively across the board.
Their near 90-point first half against the Sacramento Kings masked the fact that they let the Kings play like the Harlem Globetrotters against them.
Well, the other thing, and I don't know if this is a real thing yet or not, because it's still awfully early, but part of playing defense is understanding the pace you have to play at. And they're playing at a ridiculously high pace. And I don't know if that's what they should be doing this early in the year. And I think maybe some of that is you've got some guys who want to go and play up and down and some guys who want to, sort of temper their possessions a bit. But, I mean, that's something Steve Kerr can address when we talk to him. But they don't seem like they're all playing the same way instinctively. It's some guys want to play fast, some guys want to play less fast or fast in certain situations and not in others. But if you're playing faster than you want to, the place where it shows up is defensively. And 3 games in a row where you've given up 124 plus is a bad sign.
Watching the game on the couch last night, Jillian's watching. She says, is this the 4th game of the year or like game 4 of the Western Conference Finals? I mean, the pace that the game opened up at was basically unsustainable. Unsustainable. And I thought the Warriors were playing a little fast and out of control. The Suns were definitely playing fast and a little bit out of control, but they were hitting their shots when the Warriors weren't. That's what dug a little bit of a hole. The Warriors burnt too much energy getting out of the hole, and by the time the third quarter came around, that game got away from them. It got away from them quickly. Like, I seriously, I put the 3-year-old to bed, and in the 10 minutes, my eyes were off the game. A game went from this is a basketball game to now the Suns were up 20. So that happened fast last night, and the Warriors had a frustrating evening in Phoenix. There's no doubt about it. We're going to talk to Steve Kerr all about it. And again, we might make some of you upset, but we are officially, I want to demonstrate to the audience how unupset we are about October losses. It's not time to start panting over minutes. It's not time to start looking at what is wrong. But there are some lessons to be taken out of that. There's certainly a lot of footage of how not to go about doing it for Steve and the team to go over before they come home to Miami. What is that, Thursday they got Miami tomorrow night, or is it Friday night? Thursday night is Miami, and then they hit a 5-game road trip, which ain't going to be easy because 4 of those games come with the flavor of back-to-back around them. They've got a game in Charlotte, then in Detroit. That's a back-to-back. Then they got a game in Orlando, and then a game in New Orleans that's also a back-to-back. They got a standalone game in Miami, who they're going to see twice in under a week's time. So this is an interesting little stretch of basketball coming up in the early going here for the Golden State Warriors. And Draymond Green will tell you that they're going to have to bring more energy because the Suns out-energied the Warriors last night.
I think they were very emotional. Credit to them. They brought a lot of emotion to the game. I have my reason why I think that was so, but they did a good job.
By the way, I would like to thank the entire Phoenix Suns crew there for setting up the Warriors postgame to be done into a tin can in front of an acoustically sound concrete wall. Thank you very, very much. Great job, media.
It's not their job to worry about what the Warriors sound like.
It's the NBA's job to make sure that audio is good.
Then let the NBA come in and do that.
Well, they've come in and basically asked Rob Sarver.
Let's remember here, they don't have an owner right now, so a lot of things are falling under the cracks.
Yeah, just if only Sarver were there, this would have been smoother, is what you're saying.
Oh, absolutely,
absolutely.
Well, you heard the rumor that Barack Obama is going to be a part of one of the consortiums that want to buy the Suns.
I had not heard that rumor. Did he talk about it on the Manning cast, or is he coming up on Manning cast?
It came up in a Simmons cast on the Ringer.
Well, I mean, if you wanted to add a little class to the organization, that might be a way to go about doing it.
Yeah, it would certainly help paper over the fact that their prior owner was a scumbag.
I just can't see Barack running around the Phoenix Suns front office putting manure in guys' offices and playing grab ass with Stacy, the secretary.
Yeah, I don't think he'll be at many games either. He has other interests.
He might be a little bit busy.
This would be a little bit like when Beyonce wanted to be part of an ownership group to get the Houston Rockets.
Oh, so
I don't think she'd be in the office very often going over scouting reports.
So do you think they're going to tell him to take a hike?
No, I think they're going to say, sure, come on in, but, you don't have to be here very often. We don't really have a set job for you. You don't really need an ex-president to run a basketball team.
No, you probably don't. But you think
Or you could trot him out for PR things here.
Oh, absolutely.
But I think that would be the limit. I mean, he'll be there for investors meetings where he can.
Let me tell you what the NBA is going to tell him. if his bid is anything other than the top bid, they're going to say, take a hike.
Oh,
pal.
no, yeah. No, whoever gets this is going to, A, pay the most money, and B, have the most money left over after he pays. Because those are the only guys who get teams anymore.
When Jillian and I put our first bid on the first house we ever tried to put a bid on in San Francisco, it just so happened that the guy who owned the house knew who I was. He was a listener. And he sent me an email. And he said, hey, Damon, I want you to know I'm a big fan of yours. I really like the show. As you're entering the real estate market, I'm going to tell you something right now, and it's the truth. You're going to have to get your money up. You're nowhere even close. Then I wrote him back. I was like, hey, thanks for the lesson, man. I do appreciate it, and I appreciate the honesty. He's like, well, I've listened to your show long enough to know that you're going to appreciate this level of honesty, and I want you to know you're just – I'd love to sell you my house, but you are nowhere close, buddy. You're just not even in the neighborhood of the winning bid.
And yet, weirdly, most of the time, bidders don't get to find out how far away they are.
No,
because they just tell the real estate agent, this guy's not no chance.
That's the thing. This guy went out and did me a solid by basically dunking on me and saying, get your money up,
he taught you
Chief.
the value of overpaying after that?
Yeah. By the way, lesson learned and applied, and that's why we actually got a house.
Yeah. And overpaid for it.
Drastically. Anyways, did I play the other cut from Draymond? Here it is.
They brought a lot of emotion to the game. As I said before, I got my reasons why I think that is. But good job to them. They won the game tonight. So, woo-hoo.
Wait, I mean, what?
I think that was the same one you played before, wasn't it?
No, it's hard to tell. It's so echoey in a tin can. But look, I mean, what does he say? I know why they got up to play. Look, they got up to play you because of just about the same reason why every single team is going to get up to play the Golden State Warriors. The Golden State Warriors sneak up on no one after a championship.
No, but the other thing is that they have the added impetus of knowing that they peed away a good year by basically letting everything come undone. The way they got knocked out was mostly on them.
Oh,
they didn't play nearly well enough. They decided to have a spitting contest with their starting center at the worst possible time, and it all deteriorated in a hurry.
They got smoked at home in an elimination game.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm. And you don't get smoked at home in an elimination game if everything's going well in the room. That's the point. Is they were that close to showing the world how good they could be when what they did was show them how bad they could be.
Kevin Harlan was on today with Willard and Dibbs and offered up, I thought,
he can do better,
a pretty interesting opinion on why last night went the way it did.
Part of what is so difficult about bridging, what is still a sustainable locomotive in those four guys who have won, and trying to find the replacements with on-the-job training so that you're not missing a beat. That's a tough thing to do. And it's tough because you can see other teams have tried it and have failed. This team is right on the cusp of making that happen and probably not that far away from having a lot of this click. But right now, it can be uncomfortable, and last night the reaction was probably not what Steve wanted to see from the ejection.
And I wonder what level of discomfort is actually being generated by the two-timeline plan that the Warriors are trying to construct in front of us in real time, and has obviously gotten off to a smashing start. The two-timeline plan began with them winning a championship in the first year of enacting this plan, but things are going to change, and the minutes change, and the mechanics of every season change. And as the younger players start ascending, as the older players, two specifically, Draymond and Klay Thompson, are dealing with the concept of their own professional mortalities for the first time, maybe there is a little something to the theory that Kevin Harlan floated on Willard and Dibbs today. I don't think it's a huge leap of faith to think that the future plans of this team have pushed Draymond and Klay Thompson to both consider their roles on this team. I mean, they're established. They get statues one day. We know that. But there is no doubt that for the Warriors to be the Warriors of the present and the future, the two of them, because this doesn't apply to Steph Curry, who's still in the middle of everything this team will do, as long as he can do that. The two of them, I think, are realizing that their own timelines, their own skills are pushing them closer to the edge than the center of this team's plans. And I think that might have a little something to do with it. We do have Steve Kerr coming up with us next. We're really looking forward to saying hello to him. We're going to go inside the 49ers locker room a little bit later on today and say hello to Aaron Banks, their starting right guard, who has had a very good sophomore year after having a freshman year in which we hardly got to see him dress on game days at all. So a big step forward for him in his career in year 2. And we're going to talk about the big step forward that the 49ers need to take against the LA Rams after a rough one against the Kansas City Chiefs. So stick around. We're just underway today. It's good to have you here. Damon and Ratto on 95.7 The Game. Subscribe to what we do on the Odyssey app. We're also on YouTube, on Twitch. You subscribe there, and everyone goes home happy.
Everything, our farm, our stand, our pop-up shop, it really all started when we discovered the benefits of local, raw honey for our family.
And then we decided to turn it into a business.
We were looking for something to help us get up and running.
So we got the Chase Business Complete Banking Account.
It's more than a bank account. It comes with Quick Accept, which lets us take card payments anytime, anywhere in the U.S. using the Chase mobile app. Plus, we get same-day deposits at no extra cost. For us, it's more than honey. It's about sharing a little sweetness with the world.
Get the Chase Business Complete Banking Account with the essentials you need to help get your business going. Learn more at chase.com/business-complete-banking. Chase for business. Make more of what's yours. Quick Accept is not available in U.S. territories. Enrollment required. Usage subject to approval. Same-day deposits available for payments before 8 p.m. Eastern Time, Sunday to Friday. Fees and rates apply for checking and processing. Limitations and restrictions apply. Participants compensated. Merchant services provided by Payment Tech LLC and WePay Inc. Subsidiaries of J.P. Morgan Chase Bank and a member FDIC.
There's a reason Comcast Business powers more businesses than any other provider. Actually, there's a few. Comcast Business offers the fastest, reliable network, the peace of mind that comes with Security Edge, helping to protect all your connected devices, and the most reliable 5G mobile network. Want me to keep going? I can. Whether your small business is starting or growing, you need Comcast Business. Technology solutions that put you ahead and give you serious savings. Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
Get started with fast speeds and advanced security for just $49.99 a month for 12 months with no annual contract. Plus, ask how to get up to a $750 prepaid card with a qualifying bundle. Offer ends 12/5/2022. Restrictions apply. New Comcast Business 50 megabits per second internet and Security Edge customers only. EcoBill and autopay required. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra and subject to change. Most reliable based on RootMetrics US report. Results vary, not an endorsement.
For all contest rules, go to 957thegame.com/rules.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textplan.us. Texting enrolls for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply. Reply stop, opt out. Go to getrbawindows.com for full offer details.
Homeowners, do you know when it's time to replace your windows? Feeling too hot or cold? It's time to replace. Can't see through fog between the glass? Time to replace. Spending too much on expensive energy that literally goes out the window? It's definitely time to replace. If you've been putting off replacing windows in your home because it's too expensive, here's great news. You can now get a free in-home window consultation and free price quote from Renewal by Andersen, the company with the most 5-star reviews among leading full-service window replacement companies. And this month only, you can buy one and get one 50% off when you purchase 4 units. Just text WINDOW to 323232 right now for your free consultation on top quality affordable windows or even patio doors for $0 down, 0 payments, and 0 interest for an entire year. That's right, you don't pay a dime for an entire year. Plus buy one and get one 50% off. But hurry, this offer won't last long. Text WINDOW to 323232 right now. Don't go into winter with drafty windows. Text the word WINDOW to 323232. Don't wait. Text WINDOW to 323232.
No one knows where this market will go. Right now, it feels like a wild ride. But one thing's for certain, there's a way through it. And the experience and guidance of a Merrill advisor can help you get there. Because where there's a bull, there's a way. Find an advisor in San Francisco at ml.com/bullish.
Merrill, a Bank of America company. What would you like the power to do?
Investing involves risk. Merrill Lynch, Pierce, Fenner & Smith Incorporated, registered broker-dealer, registered investment advisor. Member SIPC, a wholly owned subsidiary of Bank of America Corp.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Thinking about gas mileage. You know, changing your oil with a full synthetic oil like Mobil 1 can help your engine get more miles. Right now, you can get 5 quarts with an STP extended life oil filter for only $37.99. Get everything you need for better fuel efficiency at any of our 6,200 stores or on AutoZone.com.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
When I can't sleep, my mind just races. I think about work, the kids, but I don't think about taking melatonin because I'm afraid I'll feel groggy in the morning.
ZzzQuil Pure Z's Gummies has an optimal dose of melatonin for no next-day grogginess, so you can fall asleep naturally and wake up feeling refreshed. ZzzQuil Pure Z's Gummies for better sleep like never before. And try Pure Z Sleep Plus Next Day Energy with melatonin plus extended release B vitamins.
When Big Mobile charges you an arm and a leg, they're taking your money and your power. And your arm and leg. Boost Mobile gives your power back with an unlimited plan for $25 a month on one of America's largest 5G networks. We can't give you back your arm and your leg because we're not qualified surgeons. Unless you're an iguana who can grow limbs back. Switch to Boost and get an unlimited plan for $25 a month. Boost Mobile. Unleash your power. New customers only. One line, $25 per month with autopay. Additional restrictions apply. See boostmobile.com for details.
Charging a cell phone can be like getting a booster shot. A booster is given to enhance or restore protection after a primary series vaccination, which wanes over time. Schedule an appointment when you are eligible. Sponsored by Pfizer and BioNTech.
Now back to Damon and Ratto on 95.7 The Game.
Welcome back. It is wonderful to have you here after an interesting Warriors game last night. It is a fantastic time to have the opportunity to say hello to head coach Steve Kerr, brought to you by Xfinity. Stay connected, protected, and entertained. Steve, thank you very much for joining us here on Damon Ratto as always. How are you today?
I'm doing well. How are you guys?
We're doing very well. Let's just start by laying out the facts. Ray nor I nor anyone should be upset about an October loss. So no one is upset by what happened last night in any way, shape, or form, but hopefully we can learn from it. Hopefully you can teach from what went wrong last night. So where did you think you guys let go of the rope in that third quarter?
Well, I wouldn't say we let go of the rope. I just think that overall, through 4 games, our defense is non-existent, and it's just tough to win games when you're not defending well. So I thought we did a good job to hang in there in the game. You know, we closed the first half decently offensively. We're making shots. We're spreading them out. But when you're not getting stops and you're giving up easy points, either through transition or the foul line, it's just really hard to stay in a game, especially against a great team like Phoenix. So it just showed how much work we have ahead of us. But it's a long season. We'll get there.
Did you get the sense early on? Because I thought my wife even said to me, she said, "Is this game 4 of the season or game 4 of the Western Conference Finals?" Like the blistering pace that game opened up with. Did you think to yourself, this is probably not going to be the night where we settle down defensively, just based on how we're running here? I mean, it was like 8 seconds or less. Everyone was getting a shot.
Right. Yeah, the pace through 4 games has been just ridiculous. I mean, it is so high, unsustainably high. We've always believed in playing with pace, but right now it just feels like I'm looking at a pickup game. You know, we're flying up and down the floor. We're giving up all kinds of transition opportunities to our opponent. We're dead last right now in transition points allowed per game. We're not really playing with a purpose, and that can mean a lot of different things. What that means to me is we're not connecting the game offensively and defensively. You know, when you have good offensive possessions and you take good shots, generally you're in position to get back defensively and to get a stop, and vice versa. You know, you play great defense, you're in a better position to score. Right now there doesn't seem to be much purpose to our game. We're just sort of out there flying around, and even though we're playing hard and guys are trying, we're just kind of rudderless. And there are reasons for that. We can get into that, but you said it. It's really early in the season. We've got a lot of new guys, new faces, young faces. So we got a lot of work to do, but it's exciting just thinking about the challenge ahead.
Well, let's get into that rudderlessness you just referred to. For a team with as much veteran presence as this has, how are you seeing rudderlessness? How are you defining it as it relates to your team through 4 games?
Well, in the detail within the game, it starts with the transition defense. I mean, that's just been abysmal. And it's so hard to gain any traction in a game when a team is just throwing the ball ahead and getting easy buckets against you. Now, the flip side of that is we're doing the same thing to our opponents. We're getting a lot of throw-aheads, a lot of buckets in transition. And as long as our starting 5 is out there, we're fine. We're hanging in games, or we're even dominating games like we did against Sacramento and the Lakers. But this is not a year ago where we're playing 9 or 10 veteran guys who have been around. We're playing a lot of young guys, guys who haven't done this before. Every combination that we throw out there once the starting lineup is broken up is just going to have some youth or some new faces like Dante or Jamichael, and that's never an easy position to be in when you go to a new team, because there's new terminology, new schemes. So it just feels to me like we're a new group that has not yet adjusted to finding an identity.
Given what you just described, would you suggest that that's normal, or is this still abnormal given who you guys are and how you made your reputations defensively?
No, I think this is normal. And coming off of a championship, not only a championship, but our 6th trip to the finals in 8 years, it's hard to expect, Draymond, Klay, Steph, Loon, hard to expect these guys to be in, playoff mode from an intensity standpoint. I think they've all played hard and they've all played well. Wiggs has had a great start to the season. Draymond's pushing in transition over the last few games has been fantastic. So it's not that guys aren't playing hard. It's just the mental focus and attention to detail that it takes to really be connected with a new group is not there yet, and that's what we've got to work towards.
Warriors head coach Steve Kerr here on 95.7 The Game. Klay Thompson tossed for the first time in his career. Did you sense it coming, or were you surprised by it as I think we were?
Well, once it started, where he and Booker were going at it, that I've seen that before. Klay gets into it with opponents. He's so competitive. So that didn't surprise me. But once they really got into it and they had to be separated, I could see Klay's anger. A lot of it was just frustration from the slow start to the season, minutes restriction, not playing in training camp, live minutes, like all that stuff came to the forefront and was part of the frustration that led to the ejection. And I don't think I ever got ejected as a player, but I've been ejected several times as a coach. So I know what he was going through and what he was feeling. And sometimes as a competitor, you just kind of lose your mind, and it happens.
Is it time in any way to forget about the 4 rings for the players who have them and say, hey, according to this season, we've got 0 rings. We're after this ring. And is there something unhealthy about pointing to a ring total?
No, not at all. Not at all. In a moment like that, it's entirely appropriate. Like, if 2 guys are talking trash, you got the ultimate counter. We won. I won. That's always the ultimate counter. Now, that's not going to help us win a 5th. It doesn't mean anything as it relates to trying to win this coming year. But it's definitely something you can use in a trash talking conversation. But I think the bigger point is that over the course of the next couple of months, we have to move forward. From last year, from the last 8 years to this one, and to recognize this is a totally new team, and we're relying on a lot of new players and young players, and this is going to take a lot of work and for all of us. And when we recognize that, I think we're going to be on a good path. But it's going to take a while for all of that to come to fruition.
And I know you don't like talking about players on other teams. You'd rather talk about your own. But to me, I thought that Devin Booker grew up a little bit last night. And the way that he talked about Klay postgame, saying, look, I wanted to be Klay Thompson. I love Klay Thompson. But he has things that I want. It just felt like last night might have been the night where he took over the real leadership reins from maybe even Chris Paul for the Phoenix Suns.
I didn't see any of the post game comments. I didn't look at that, but I've gotten to know Devin because we were in Tokyo at the Olympics last summer. Great guy, hell of a player. He and Klay would actually be good buddies if they were on the same team. They just happened to play the same position, and as Devin said, he wants what Klay has, and that's how this league works. It's the young guys are coming for the older ones. The older guys are trying to, stave off the young guys, and that's sometimes the very best competition there is. So,
is there a little
more coming?
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but is there a little of that playing out on your own roster?
I think that's an interesting observation. I think the way I would put it is we have to find our identity with this year's group, and that is a very unique time for us. We've never been in this position, really. Last year would be the closest, but you think about this run that we've been on, we've always had veterans coming off the bench who were stabilizers, Sean Livingston, Andre Iguodala, Zaza Pachulia, David West, David Lee. We've had these guys who had been around for a long time, who were helping guide the team, helping lead the team. Now we have a group of guys coming off the bench who are just trying to figure out what's what. And so it's a very different leadership dynamic, very different kind of roster dynamic that we're looking at this year, and that requires different leadership from within and a different way of looking at things. So, as I said, we got a lot of work to do, and that's part of it.
I don't want to play roster construction games after 4 games, but given what you just said, could you use another veteran presence on the bench just sort of as stabilizer? Because maybe in your view, you're too young in position 6 through 10 right now.
No. I think what we need is patience more than anything. You qualified it by saying we're 4 games in, and I will enhance your point and just say that 4 games in, it's way too early to determine something like that. I think you look at Phoenix last night; they're buttoned up, they are ready to play. They're angry from what happened in the playoffs to them last year. They're playing all vets. You can see they have their identity. This is who they are, and they're going to win a lot of games. But for us, it's a matter of developing the young guys and implementing them into the fabric of a group that's been together for a long time, and that in itself just takes a while. And but the exciting thing is we've got talented players. These guys are gifted, and so as they catch up to the ways of the NBA and to the schemes and the things we're trying to accomplish, the ceiling gets higher.
Is that a more difficult process than maybe you might have thought in the abstract, 6 weeks ago? Or did you fully expect this to be the early season dynamic?
I expected some of this. You never really know what you have until you see it, until things start to unfold. I think both Dante and Jamichael are going to be important parts of our team. Dante's injury the last couple of games has hurt us. He's a connector. He's a guy who kind of helps things flow. And one of the reasons I went to Ty Jerome last night, I thought the ball was just sticking, and we needed some flow. And we found a combination out there with Ty and Jordan Poole and Steph and Draymond and that group, and it was like, oh yeah, this looks right, and So we're going to need some of our veteran guys to provide that as the young guys kind of get molded and figure out what this is all about. But it's just a new challenge. Every year's a new challenge. That's one of the things that makes coaching so much fun. You kind of have to figure it out and then help the guys through that whole process.
Steve Kerr, you're on Damon and Ratto. Did you think that Jonathan Kuminga would be more in focus earlier in the year? Do you feel that coming later in the year? I think we were all a little surprised to see Ty Jerome get into the game last night before Jonathan Kuminga. Is there anything to be inferred by that other than what you just said? You thought the ball was sticking and maybe he would unstuck it.
Well, you're talking about a point guard or a four-man. So it's like, this is not a pecking order. This is not like who deserves to go in the game first based on, some random thought. This is, we need a point guard on the floor. So, of course, I'm going to go with the point guard and not the power forward.
Sure. Is there anything to Kuminga's lack of playing time that I just thought we would be seeing more of him early on, especially when you're worried about minutes for your older players? He hasn't been involved very much, or he doesn't appear in first halves.
Well, I mean, you can only play so many guys. It's really hard to play more than 10. Even 10 can be a stretch. We've generally played 10. So if you look at our group, that's you're gonna reach 11 when you look at the players you'd like to see out there. So we don't have enough space when everybody is healthy. But 4 games in, we've got a couple back-to-backs coming up. There's likely to be guys, sitting, likely to be, guys getting banged up. There's going to be plenty of time for JK, for Moses, for Wise. But this is all, it's all part of development. It's, development doesn't just equal playing time in games. It's everything. It's watching film. It's performing in practice. It's learning, it's growing, and so all of our young guys are going to have to go through all of these growing pains. And we got a championship team. We don't, we're not just handing out minutes just for the sake of handing them out. We're actually trying to accomplish something here, and our guys are bought in. They understand that, and they're all going to be fine.
You mentioned the unsustainable pace that you guys have been playing at through 4 games. Is there another number or numbers that when you look at it concerns you more than it would normally after 4 games?
Another number?
A stat or series of stats that trouble you.
We're dead last in transition points allowed in the league. It just looks like a pickup game out there. And so there's just no sense of the importance of taking away the easy points, which is always a key indicator for us as to whether we'll be successful or not. So 30th in transition points allowed, I think 20th in defensive efficiency, maybe 25th in fouling and free throws allowed. So those are all the numbers I'm looking at that we have to get cleaned up.
Steve, there's been a ton of finger wagging, obviously, at Draymond Green. We all know why. Here's the very first thing I have to say about Draymond. Boy, he was right to get that tech last night. I mean it. Like, I don't normally support Draymond Green technicals, but that was well-earned. He deserved to say what the hell happened there. You deserved to have his back in that moment. And if you had lost that game by the margin of those free throws, I'm still cool with it. That was a terrible no call. Will you be sending that video to the league?
No. I think we're not in the practice of sending video into the league. There's missed calls every game, and that's just part of it. I had no problem with Draymond getting the tee. They had missed a similar one in the first half when he got fouled at the rim, where the refs ruled that it was a verticality play that was definitely not a clean verticality play. So he was upset. I was upset. It happens. you just move on. I haven't thought twice about it since last night.
I know you don't want to give us the lineups for the back-to-backs that you're going to be dealing with, but has that already been planned out with you and the training staff? Who might sit when?
Yeah, not yet. Not yet. That will be a discussion for the next couple of days, and so we'll see how that goes. But to the point I made earlier, there's going to be opportunities for players to be out there, and everyone's just got to stay ready.
Steve, thank you so very much, man. We really appreciate all the time that you give us in your interviews and early start to the year here. It's so good to have the Warriors back. I mean, I'm just a basketball junkie, so I know it's going to all start working out and everybody finds their own level, but it's always a fascinating process to watch unfold and how you pull the strings to make it all happen. We appreciate your time as always, man. Good luck Thursday night against Miami, and then bon voyage for the 5-gamer.
Sounds good. Thanks, fellas. We'll see you later.
Thank you very, very much. Steve Kerr, you're on 95.7 The Game. I wonder how many games he needs before he starts really making his, all right, here's what I got. 20 feels like the right number. I need about 20 NBA games before I'm starting to draw any conclusions as to what real way the direction of the season might go, who is really playing themselves into or out of minutes. Again, it's all early here, and he is right about this. And I know that people are wondering about Jonathan Kuminga and why he isn't playing as much. He is right. It's hard to play 11 guys in an NBA game.
It is, but also he said something that is pretty telling to me. It's that you just don't give out minutes. The 2-track thing that everybody loves to talk about, that's still a couple of years off from coming to fruition. So I think he's basically saying, not just to Kuminga, but to other guys, it's just, you don't get X number of minutes just because you exist. They did that with Weissman 2 years ago, and they live to regret it. And I think, one of the things he talked about transition points. He talked about pace. Those are things that you tend to see young guys not pay that much attention to because they're all full of energy and they want to run up and down the floor for 48 minutes like they never get tired. And I think that's one of the things that he's referring to, not just in terms of Kuminga, but most of the younger guys, because they do like to play faster. They either came from college programs where the game tends to be a little draggier, and once they get to that elite level that NBA players reach just by being in the NBA, they think they can go 100 miles an hour.
Well, I'll tell you, the pace of that game was set by the veterans that started it, though. I mean,
I understand that, but it's not, when Steve Kerr says it's not a sustainable pace, it's not sustainable within games, and it's not sustainable over expansive games. And I think to a certain extent, the Warriors, veterans and youngins, all fell prey to the same thing, which is we have to teach Phoenix a lesson. Why they felt they needed to when they had the parade and Phoenix didn't even get to the conference final is beyond me. But sometimes emotion just gets in the way of it. And maybe when the veterans started play at that ridiculous pace, the young guys said, well, that's what they want us to do.
Right. They're setting the tone for the evening, and we're going to match that.
Maybe they were following tacit instructions given to them by veterans who didn't actually instruct them as much as they influenced them. So, no, I think that's, this is not a thing where, the young guys are playing too fast and shame on them. No, this team is playing too fast. And I think, Steve Kerr alluded to that without pointing specific fingers at anybody. And that is going to have to change almost certainly on this road trip, because not only are there 2 back-to-backs, but they're going to be playing a couple of teams that want to run. They're going to be playing in Detroit, where they have nothing but young guys.
Right.
And they're going to be playing in New Orleans, where they're breaking out Zion with a bunch of other new guys. They're going to want to play up-tempo. And I think, quite frankly, those will be tests in terms of how the Warriors are at setting a pace that they want to play at.
Here's what we can officially tell you. Our position on what's wrong with the Warriors early on here, nothing. There's nothing wrong. The season is early. They're getting their feet wet. There's a lot of basketball left, to say the least. So, just off to a...
They got 3 weeks, and then it's their ass.
There you go. Rays put them on the clock. I'm glad. Let's get back on our clock. 888-957-9570 is the number. Aaron Banks of the San Francisco 49ers is going to join us at 4:45 today. We're looking forward to that conversation. We're looking forward to talking to you about Klay's first ejection, about maybe some basketball mortality being calculated by a couple of the older veterans who have gotten off to a little bit of a not what you might have expected start. Damon and Ratto here on 95.7 The Game. We're brought to you by Fremont Bank, full-service banking, no compromises.
Why spend hours negotiating with a car salesman to get the best price for a vehicle you want to buy? At BMW of Fairfield, we give you our very best, most competitive price right up front. By eliminating the price negotiation process, we create a comfortable environment that helps our guests enjoy an experience that's often hostile and difficult at other dealerships. There is a better way. Experience it for yourself at BMW of Fairfield. One price, one person, 1 hour.
If you own a business, this has been a bumpy ride. From pandemic to inflation, I'm sure you could use a break. If your business has 5 or more employees and survived COVID, you might be eligible to receive a payroll tax refund of up to $26,000 per employee. The challenge is getting your hands on it. Hi, I'm Howard Mackler, and that's why I founded GetRefunds.com to cut through the red tape and get you the money. The team of tax attorneys we have put together are highly trained in this little-known payroll tax refund program. We do all the work, charge not a dime up front, and simply share a percentage of the cash that we get for you. Businesses of all types can qualify, including those that took PPP, nonprofits, and even those that had increases in sales. We have helped return over $1 billion to businesses, and we can help you too. Just go to getrefunds.com/sports, click on Qualify Me, and answer a few questions. This payroll tax refund is only available for a limited period of time. Don't lose out on up to $26,000 per employee. Go to getrefunds.com/sports. That's getrefunds.com/sports.
Do you have 3 ex-wives and your current trophy wife wants a life insurance policy 3 times the size of the policies you had to purchase for your previous mistakes? If so, you need to call Big Lou at Term Provider, 800-200-1966. Big Lou is intimately familiar with your problems, and if you're 50 or 60 years old and in reasonably good health, a $1 million policy should only cost about $100 to $200 per month. Big Lou may have a solution for your previous policies as well. You may even save enough money to lighten the load on your new $1 million policy. Remember, call Big Lou. He's like you, except he's only on number 2. Call Term Provider at 800-200-1966. That's 800-200-1966 for $1 million in term life insurance that you can live with. Call Big Lou at 800-200-1966. 800-200-1966.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today. 1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Donate your car today at carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K. Your car, running or not, can be picked up as soon as the next day. You'll get a maximum tax deduction and a vacation voucher.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Now accepting donations of land, homes, buildings, or any kind of real estate.
It's the bottom of the 9th, the game's on the line, and your small business needs a loan fast. What's your move? Go to OnDeck.com, America's largest online small business lender. With OnDeck, you can apply in minutes, and if approved, get your funds as soon as the same day. Go to OnDeck.com. Your loan is on deck. Depending on certain loan attributes, your business loan may be issued by OnDeck or Celtic Bank, a Utah-chartered industrial bank member FDIC. Limited eligibility for same-day funding. OnDeck does not lend in every state. All loans subject to lender approval.
Football season is here. The new Odyssey app lets you stay connected to your NFL team, your station, your shows. Follow your favorite stations and come back again and again. Get real-time updates on everything you care about. Miss your show? Jump back to their awesome Rewind feature. The Odyssey app is NFL football. Live and on demand. Wherever you are, whenever you want. And did we mention it's all free? Download the Odyssey app today.
Hey, it's Tiki Barber. When part of your offense isn't firing on all cylinders, it shows. And sometimes the only solution is to replace that part with something new. It's true on a championship team, and it's also true with cars. That's why I love eBay Motors. They have all the right parts at the right prices. 122 million of them. That way, you can get the parts you need to make your car a winner. ebaymotors.com. Let's ride.
Let me guess. Unknown caller? You could reduce the number of unwanted calls and emails with online privacy protection. The latest innovation from Discover will help regularly remove your personal info, like your name and address, from 10 popular people search websites that could sell your data. And we'll do it for free. Activate in the Discover app. See terms and learn more at discover.com/online privacy protection.
Listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM at HD1 San Francisco. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Now back to Damon and Ratto on 95.7 The Game.
So look, everything we do, every interview we have, every word Ray and I pass back and forth to each other is available for you on the Odyssey app. And I tell you, you can also find the entire station day's content on YouTube. Search 95.7 The Game, click subscribe. Every single show can be seen live as it's happening. You can go backwards in time to see the best interviews, the most interesting segments, all the behind-the-scenes content. The full frontal nudity, if you will, that comes along with 95.7 The Game. You can get all of that on the YouTube page, and then click that subscribe button, and then whether or not you ever come back to watch it again is irrelevant to us. Just hit that subscribe button. That's what motivates all the digital junkies.
We'll take viewers, though. You can watch. It's cool.
Oh, sure. But here's the thing. Once you click the subscribe button, you're counted as an all-time forever viewer. So that's it. You can literally hit that subscribe button, never really bother us again, and we're good. I mean, I'm just asking the entire audience to download the Odyssey app and the entire audience to click and subscribe. Ray's not going to ask these things of you. I will ask these things of you.
I prefer that they don't.
Again, you just don't understand how any of this works.
I understand that's what makes you adorable. How it works. I understand completely how it works. I just want them not to look at me.
Are you ready for a positive Kyle Shanahan segment? Do you think we can generate one?
We haven't so far. But then again, that's a weakness of the radio, not us.
We can do this. Because I'm thinking about it, right? Nothing spurns action like a deadline. And one of the things that Ray and I say all the time is when you're building cases for or against anyone, you really can't take things out of the timeline. So here we are in Kyle Shanahan's 6th year as the 49ers head coach. What do you think, everybody? I know that not everyone is very happy with the way that this season has gone, and rightfully so. We have been very critical. It's what we do. We've been critical of Kyle Shanahan. I think he's a good coach. And I do want him to prove me right. I would hate to think that the 49ers have literally spun their wheels on a guy who was ultimately going to prove himself to be an underachiever and didn't deliver what the promise of Kyle Shanahan was supposed to deliver. In so many ways, he has proven that he's a very good coach, and in other ways, he definitively has not proven it. Like, I expect excellence out of the 49ers head coach, and maybe, Ray, like, it's the same pressure that comes with being a 49ers quarterback. Like, you are forever being measured against Montana and Young. These are ghosts you will never be able to chase down without something that borders on one of the greatest careers of all time, right? Maybe for a coach, that ghost that you're chasing is also ever present because you're only being compared to Bill Walsh. Do you think that has anything to do with the intense scrutiny that we put every single Kyle Shanahan decision under a microscope? Is it because we're measuring against the expectations we have for him or the memory of Bill Walsh?
I think not, and I have several reasons why. One, a lot of 49er fans...
You think not what? I'm sorry.
I think that he's not being compared to Walsh.
Okay.
Because a lot of 49er fans weren't around when Walsh was at the height of his powers. Secondly, the one thing that Walsh left everybody when he retired was this notion that the 49ers are perpetually elite, when history shows us that they are not. That really, since Steve Young retired, they are poor more often than they are good. And as a result, with every passing year that builds up, and it's been now 27 years since they won a Super Bowl, the notion that they should be a contender every year becomes more and more myth than reality. I think the frustration that people feel is that they got too good too fast in year 3 for what expectations were. And then last year, people weren't expecting as much as they got again. So now they assume that that's the new baseline. When in fact, for most teams in football, it's not. And in fact, this year in particular, there are 2 teams in football who are excellent this year and were excellent last year, and that's Kansas City and Buffalo. And everybody else is either coming on out of nowhere, disappointments, or just god-awful. So it's a weird year in general. And the other thing is, people get to give vent to their, momentary acts of lunacy and frustration on an almost hourly basis. And it just builds up and it sort of churns like a hamster wheel. Like, I remember saying an hour ago that I didn't like Kyle Shanahan. Well, I just remembered, I don't like him even more than I didn't like him an hour ago. And it just becomes self-perpetuating madness. He is, and we've gone down the list of coaches, he's one of the 6 to 8 best coaches in the league right now. And after you throw out the first 2 years, which I think we both agreed are, those were clean-out years.
They're flushable. Sure.
Yeah. He's 10 games over 500. He's been very good. So I think it's expectations based on the fallacy that the 49ers should always be great. And 2, expectations based on the last 2 of the last 3 years.
So this isn't a question for you.
Okay, then I'll shut up.
As much as it is the audience. When it's all said and done here, do you really think that Kyle Shanahan can beautiful mind this thing? Like, can he see the equations and the angles that no other coach can see? Do you think that he can really get his mind to make this offense go now that he has yet another chess piece in Christian McCaffrey, who yesterday we described, I think, he's like a queen on the chessboard. You can put him anywhere. He can move in any direction that he wants to. Wide out, slot, behind the line, in the backfield, power eye, staggered, wherever you want to put him, you can put him. You can start him from there. Same thing with Deebo Samuel. Maybe he needs the 2 queens to win and play the games of chess that he wants to go about winning and playing and having success in. And look, if he succeeds, we'll know it. We know what success is if he succeeds. And if he fails, if he were to fail this year, and failure is what? Anything between not winning a Super Bowl and not winning another game, right? Isn't that where failure is somewhere? Not winning a Super Bowl gets considered failure. Again, this is the price you pay for being a 49er fan, I guess. If he fails, the crazy thing is that's not going to be the end line either, because he's got the reboot already built in. Then the clock officially starts ticking on the next phase, and that is Trey Lance. So, come hell or high water, no matter how good or bad he looks, Trey Lance gets 2 full years to show that he can do this or not. And this year did not count as part of that evaluation. So, Trey Lance, let's say this year does not end. Jimmy Garoppolo, thanks. Finally, we're moving on. We're talking about the next 17-game run and then the next 17-game run after that are all Trey Lance time. Whether it's working or whether it isn't, you need to learn definitively one way or the other. So I just want to ask, can we all agree that Kyle basically has to the end of 2024 to get this right? Like I said, we need a deadline, right? When is officially enough is enough with Kyle Shanahan? If he really is, as Ray and I kind of agree, one of the 8 to 6 best coaches in all of football. You throw away the first 2 years, it might even get a little bit better than that. Can we all agree that something that rhymes with Lombardi needs to happen before 2024 for him to keep the job in 2025, which is contractually his final year of his extension? And so at that point, you're looking at what? Having him come back for a lame duck year? That's no way to go about having a coach come back. Or you're extending him. So can we agree that this has got to happen by 2024? And that's the end point. Like, that's the end game. Something's got to happen special by 2024, Kyle. That's it. We think we think you're the right guy for the job. I want to believe in you. I think I see signs that there are reasons to believe in you that aren't, that aren't misconstrued or I pulled out of thin air. Like, I think there's some evidence to believe in you here. But it's got to be, you got to show it to me by 2024.
Well, but then you're defining it by a Super Bowl win, which you've said you think is unreasonable. I don't think that he's going to, if he has 2 more pretty good runs where they get in the playoffs and last a bit and don't get to another Super Bowl, I think he gets extended.
And here's the thing. If Trey Lance is at the part of that and at the center of that and everyone's going, hey, this kid's a really good draft pick after all and we're in good shape with him, yeah, I guess you don't need a Super Bowl to keep on going there. But it's got something, everyone's got to feel really good about the direction of this team by 2024 at the very, very least to keep on going with it.
I think only 5 people need to feel that. And their fans, they'll either come or they won't come. I think we are overreacting to noise from the outside.
888-957-9570. Does that feel like a fair deal? 2024, get it right by then. Whatever get it right might mean to you, might mean to me. I guess that changes based on who you're talking to. But if that feels right, if that feels wrong, 888-957-9570. It's Damon and Ratto here on 95.7 The Game.
O'Reilly. When you need auto parts, O'ReillyAuto.com is just a few clicks away. We offer convenient options for you to get your parts quickly. Order online and pick up for free at your local O'Reilly Auto Parts store. We'll even bring it out curbside. Or you can have your parts delivered right to your door with free shipping on most orders over $35. Visit O'ReillyAuto.com.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Score big with Xfinity Internet. It's made to do anything, so you can do anything. Supercharge your home with the game-changing speed of supersonic Wi-Fi. With 3 times more bandwidth, it covers the field and then some. And blocks billions of threats with advanced security that helps keep you protected at home and on the go. If you're keeping score, that's internet that does it all. That's unbeatable internet from Xfinity. Learn more at Xfinity.com. Restrictions apply. Not available in all areas.
Alice at 97.3 is celebrating the return of Alice in Winterland. Friday, December 2nd at the SAP Center in San Jose. Starring John Mayer, One Republic.
See you at Alice in Winterland.
Matt Nathanson. Plus more to be added. Tickets on sale now at Ticketmaster. Get everything Alice in Winterland at radioalice.com.
Listen, could Robert change your life?
At the age of 55, I started putting on weight, and I got to the weight of about 210 pounds. Always hungry. The heavier I got, the less energy I had. And about 6 months ago, I started taking the Andro 400, and I started realizing I had more energy. I felt better, and my mind was clearer, and I started losing weight. I went from my max weight was 215, and now I'm down to 176. My waist size has dropped from a 38 to a 32, and I've lost these big love handles that I had on my side, and I just look a lot slimmer.
Since 2004, Andro 400 has helped men lose belly fat, gain energy, and to look and feel their best. Go to andro400.com for more true testimonials, before and after photos, and special discounts. Only available on andro400.com. andro400.com.
No one knows where this market will go. Things could change tomorrow, next week, or next month. At Merrill, we've been here before, and history shows this is the time to stay focused on your future. Because through every market, the bull will always have your back. Find an advisor in San Francisco at ml.com/bullish.
Merrill, a Bank of America company. What would you like the power to do?
Investing involves risk. Merrill Lynch, Pierce, Fenner & Smith Incorporated, registered broker-dealer, registered investment advisor. Member SIPC, a wholly owned subsidiary of Bank of America Corp.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-200-1966. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-200-1966. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-200-1966. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-200-1966. 800-200-1966.
If you work remote, Staples has you covered.
Stylish office decor to turn my finished basement into a complete workspace solution.
Staples has you covered.
A desk that's all business, but not too businessy.
Staples has you covered with remote workspace solutions. And now at Staples, save 25% on all desks, storage and filing products, chair mats, lighting, decor, and desk accessories when you buy a chair. Explore solutions for your remote workspace at Staples, the working and learning store. Ends 10/29. In-store only. Exclusions apply.
O'Reilly. Don't miss See Better, Drive Safer month at O'Reilly Auto Parts with great deals on wiper blades, headlight bulbs, and more. Right now, get up to a $20 gift card after a mail-in rebate with the purchase of select Sylvania bulbs. Plus, get double O Rewards points with your purchase. Prepare for the weather ahead during See Better, Drive Safer month at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
She posted about us just now.
Celebrities can't get enough of Beyonce's bespoke skincare line.
She has 147 million followers. How do we monetize?
She needs a social media associate to help her with the hype.
We should repost this. Do we need a hashtag?
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
In Santa Clara, clear skies overnight, lows in the mid-40s.
Weather brought to you by Pfizer and BioNTech. This fall, there are now updated COVID-19 booster shots designed for recent Omicron variants. Learn more and schedule your updated booster at vaccines.gov.
Now back to Damon and Ratto on 95.7 The Game.
We're going to get deeper into the San Francisco 49ers as we go into their locker room. And we're going to find guard Aaron Banks waiting to talk to us today. Now, we didn't talk to Aaron last year because he was so on the fringe of the roster. He wasn't given to us once. So we're going to be meeting Aaron Banks for the first time today. And we're looking forward to it. You know, I mean, he's a Notre Dame guy. Should be a good conversation just based off that alone. Yeah, I'm stereotyping a little bit. Irish guys usually know how to deal with the media. So Aaron Banks went from a person that you didn't even consider really last year as anything other than possibly a bust because he's not even dressing on game day to one of the sturdier, steadier performers and maybe the least covered good story that the 49ers actually have on their roster this year. Aaron Banks has played really good football. While the Chiefs game wasn't going very well at all, he played very good football. He and Spencer Burford right now are one of the best guard tandems in terms of pass protection and run protection in the NFL right now, according to Pro Football Focus's grade that no one really understands how they put it together. But that's what it is. So he's having a very, very good year. We're going to talk to him coming up at 4:45 today from the 49ers locker room. And then we already had a great conversation with Steve Kerr. And if you might have missed that, we're going to jog it past you once again as we slip into our 5 o'clock hour. So get ready for all of that this afternoon here on 95.7 The Game. We're going to go back out to the phones, though. We were just talking about Kyle Shanahan and what the timeline needs to be for him to have either done it, whatever your definition of done it is, by what, 2024 or what? Because 2025 is the last year of his current extension. And I don't think Kyle nor the Niners are going to be comfortable operating on the lame duck contract year. Did they do that, Ray? Can you? Who's the last lame duck 49er coach? Did Mike Nolan? You turn your mic on, darling. Turn your microphone on.
They usually fire them before they get to the end of their contract.
Exactly. So, I mean, I don't think Mike Nolan got this is your last shot. I mean, I have to look. I don't think Mike Singletary got it. Tom Sula, he definitely didn't get it. Chip Kelly, he was one and done. So, I just don't think it's how the team operates. What is to be done with Kyle Shanahan's, let's call it, endgame concerning this contract extension? When is it fair to say he has either proven himself not the right guy for the job or continues to show that he is the best guy for the job, even though they might not have gone all the way the merry-go-round and pulled the brass ring? See, there used to be a thing called a merry-go-round, and sometimes the merry-go-round had a little brass ring that as you went by it, you try to pull it, and if you actually got the ring, which were all iron, if you got the brass one, they gave you a prize.
Yeah, it's when children were allowed to have fun, unsupervised. That was back in the 60s.
I was about to say, 1972, I believe, was the last time anyone saw a brass ring.
Yeah, I mean, to me, I think he'll probably get the extension based on what he's done right now, unless they go 3-14 the next 2 years. And I don't see that happening.
Would the emergence of Trey Lance fast track his evaluation or actually even buy him more time?
It would not be a hindrance. I mean, because you have to define terms here. And I realize that's pedantic, but you have to do it anyway. What is it that they are expecting him to do in the next 3 years? Must he win a Super Bowl? I don't think that's the metric. Must he at least challenge for at least 2? Yeah, that's probably closer to reality. But I don't know.
I think it's fair to say the Niners need to be considered by the casual NFL observer a contender.
I don't think that's the metric at all. I think they need to get there and show that they're a contender. And that, to me, means a deep run in the playoffs.
Right. Well, I don't mean the illusion of contention.
Yeah,
I mean,
I don't think what the casual fan thinks has any validity, weight, or import in the offices where all of these.
No, it doesn't. But I'm just trying to give a metric that our audience can relate to.
Oh, you're spitting up a rope. No, I think basically it's going to depend on the size of the skin that he puts on the wall, not what people think of him. Because I think most 49er fans right now, they recognize that he's good at what he does, but the 49ers aren't fun to watch because they don't put up 30 points a game. I think that annoys the hell out of them more than watching an elite defense pleases them. That has always been the 49er ethos, is that, we may not defend well, but we'll score like crazy.
I think it's a little bit of a lack of pinball machine scoring, but it's also the ever-present, hey, this was a problem last week, it's a problem again this week, I bet you it's going to be a problem again next week too. Just the death by paper cuts that this team insists on giving itself when it's playing poorly.
Well, when it's playing poorly, yes, but then again, People thought that last year in the second half. They were 7-2, and their offense was not particularly more dynamic. But
Just Debo made it a wrinkle.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is they were more fun. And I think that's the standard that most fans set for this team. Is it fun for me to commit 3.5 hours on Sunday to watch these guys, or am I going to get pissed at them even if they win? And I think in that way, 49er fans are a little bit dilettantish. Just, hey, take the win and shut up. Be a Jet fan. Find out how that is.
Well, they got a better record right now, right? 888-957-9570. This is David in Brentwood. Thanks for the call, David. What do you got?
Hey, Damon. I think that the question is pretty much based on from which standpoint. I mean, is it based on Jay George's point of view? I guess he would say it's a success. If you ask the fans, they would say it's somewhere in between. And I think in the next few years will depend on whether Kyle Shanahan is actually willing to evolve as a manager, because it seems to me like right now he's got at least between 6 and 7 players that can actually make plays on the team. But every time I see the 49ers play, it's either Debo, Jeff Wilson Jr., or occasionally Kittle or Ayuk. So, I mean, we can say that it's based on the quarterback that he has, but when you think about it, I mean, would you say that the Jets and the Dolphins have better players than we do, and yet you see those head coaches have more success with less players?
Well, and you just brought up two, and the thing is, the two teams that you brought up have remnants of things going well for the 49ers as their head coaches. Robert Saleh and Mike McDaniel. How much are they missing ingredients? I think DeMeco Ryans has been a great replacement for Robert Saleh. I don't know if this team has found its replacement to Mike McDaniel, or if, Kyle spreads so thin with too many duties that he can't put the time into this offense that he might have in the past, or Mike McDaniel allowed for.
Well, I mean, I don't want to diminish what Mike McDaniel did, but he was never the offensive coordinator. He was the quarterback's coach. The guy who called the plays on Sunday, the guy who designed the game plan, was Kyle Shanahan. And right now, the Dolphins' offense is not particularly dynamic. I mean, they're still a mediocre team trying to figure it out with a quarterback who can't stay healthy.
Right.
So
they played 3 weeks without a starting quarterback, too.
Okay, but what I'm saying is the jury is still way out on Mike McDaniel. I mean, and I remember when Robert Saleh was here, people bitched about him up one side and down the other because they couldn't believe that, that defense wasn't better all the time. And the fact is it was a good defense, but they don't have sort of the one-size-fits-all defense where you can't run on them and you can't throw on them. Because I don't know if that defense exists anymore. You could always pick on one part of Saleh's defenses, and it was usually the secondary. And now it's, if anything, this defense is probably better than any defense they had until they started getting guys hurt. So I'm not sure that either one of them has done enough to be able to form a template on them. Certainly McDaniel hasn't. I mean, he's coached 6 games. What do we know about it? Or 7 games. We know he's 4-3, and we know his points differential is -18. That's about it. So I don't know that he's a valuable guide to anything.
Tim in Marin. You're on 95.7 The Game. What do you got, Tim?
Hey, just a couple things. Longtime listener, Ray Ratto, you are the reason I listen to this radio station. I love your commentary. Now, I remember you saying about a week ago, or maybe a little over a week, right now the 49ers are a stunningly average team in many ways, like a lot of teams in the league. I would probably agree with that, having watched enough of this season so far. I'm a supporter of Kyle because I am not the dude who says, could we go back to Egypt, to Leeks and Onions and Tomasula and Chip Kelly? I remember how awful this team was because I'm old enough that my first autograph was John Brody. So this team's doing pretty well for what we got. I'm in favor of Kyle. I would agree. I think he gets the extension hands down. That's what I got.
Well, his first remarks are the sign of an insane person. You know, I'm not sure why you would listen to this station for me and under any circumstances.
You're going to run home and tell your wife tonight, honey, somebody listens because of me.
And she'll say, well, it's not me. No, I think the thing that's maddening about this year is that the first 3 games were hard to watch. The first game was played in a monsoon. So if you want to throw that one out, you can. You know, it still counts on your permanent record. I think the Denver game is the one that sticks in people's craw because Denver stinks and they got 10 points off of them. They gave up 11 and couldn't win. Other than that, they are indeed what we thought they'd be, a 3-2 team that, you know, is good some weeks and not good others. Atlanta is better than their record shows because they are young and hard hitting. You can fake a lot of things when you've got that. And then last week they got routed by a team that should be routing people week in and week out. It's the sign to me of a stunningly average team.
Hey, we're a week away from finding out the Chicago Bears might be a little bit better than we thought. They certainly looked like they were a little bit better. I look at it this way. Somebody who has had it with the Chicago Bears as a franchise. Even I have to admit that they're getting a little bit better week to week. And maybe that's where some of the Niners' frustration boils from, too, because the market improvement that you're seeing week to week from some other teams, I don't know if you see it. It feels like the Niners, it's a 2-step forward, 1-step back kind of process that they find themselves in. And so, look, I'm not coming up with a hypothetical timeline. What I'm saying is there needs to be a certain plan here. You know, by what point in time does Kyle really have to have this thing operating as a fully functioning Death Star? Would you have him go into 2025 in a lame duck year? Would you have to extend him after 2024? If the answer is yes, they'd have to extend him after 2024. What do you need to see before 2024 before you'd feel good about that? Or have you seen enough? Our last caller certainly has.
Yeah, I think 3 years is a long time to have to make up your mind. So I don't think that's set in stone at all. But he would have to fail miserably not to get the extension.
How about this? It's gone. This year ends in a playoff run that is deep enough to where people aren't looking to crucify him.
Then they've done it in 3 of the last 4 years. He'll get the extension at the end of this year.
Next year, no, I don't think they're re-upping him after this year, after the offseason that they just had and all the nonsense and all the not looking at all the scenarios and bringing it all. I don't know. I don't think it's going to happen this year. It'd be stupid to happen this year. You don't need to extend someone out 2 years from the end of their contract. That's just bad business. So I think that realistically, let's say they have a run that satisfies everyone enough this year. Next year, in Trey Lance's now 4th year in the league, 3rd year in the league, but 1st year as this team's routine starter, they don't continue on that deep enough run that's playoff satisfying enough to everyone. So they regress. Then what do you do? Maybe do you say, look, Kyle, we still think of you quite highly as a coach, but as a general manager, and maybe even with a struggling Trey Lance being yet another, not sure if you got that one right, and man, that was an important one to get right or wrong, about saying, look, Kyle, we want you to be our head coach. We have had it with you being the general manager as well. We are going to give the final say now to John Lynch or someone else, and it just, you know, you're still obviously in the conversation, but you do not have final word.
Well, then that's tantamount to firing him.
No, it's not.
He won't stay.
No, it's not. Did you say the same thing about Mike Holmgren? And what did he do? He stayed right there because the pay was great, and now you're telling me I have less work to do? Like, that sounds pretty good.
Kyle Shanahan is not the guy who wants less work. He doesn't want anybody to tell him what to do.
You don't know him. You don't know that.
Oh, yes, I do. He and I are close friends. No, I think that's a step down.
Oh,
and I don't think
it's a demotion in title.
And I don't think that he would have a hard time finding another gig in this league based on having 3 deep runs in 4 years. that where he couldn't get a general manager / coaching job again.
Hey, do you like the house you live in? Are your kids happy in school? Is your wife happy where she is? I'm going somewhere else because I've been offended that I won't be coach and GM. I'll only be head coach of the 49ers. Like, that seems like a stupid hill to die on.
It might be, but coaches die on that hill all the time. Once you've given a guy that level of power, and he's succeeded more often than not with it.
He's got an under 500 record at the end of this, by the way. He's still 3 games under 500, and that's that.
Okay. But
so how much success have you had?
Well, I'm just telling you the first 2 years I'm throwing out because he spent 2 years shoveling out a stable of dying horses. So to me, his record starts with the first team that is truly his, and that was 2019. And in your scenario, they got to a Super Bowl, they missed the playoffs, they got to a conference final, and this year they get to another conference final. That's 3 times in 4 years. I'm pretty sure that he could go to Jed York and say, you know what, I'd like to stretch this out some more. And Jed York would probably be inclined to do it, whether it's bad business or not. And if he doesn't want to, now you've created a level of friction you don't need to. And I think Jed York, having gone through that with Jim Harbaugh, who was another successful coach they had, doesn't want to have that fight. So I think he's not going to go in and say, all right, we had 1 year of Trey Lance playing 17 games and he wasn't very good. I blame you. I don't think that's how this plays out. I think if Trey Lance has a mediocre year, I think they'd say, okay, well, what are you going to do to fix this? But I don't think they go, well, you're going to have to give up one of the jobs. That makes no sense to me based on what we know about the way Jed York has done business in the past and how he's going to do it now.
Vince in San Francisco. What do you got, Vince?
Hey, guys. I was born and raised a 49er fan. I'm 34. I was too young to remember the last one in 94. I've been dying for a Super Bowl win. We keep knocking on the door, Harbaugh era, and now this one. And it's almost the same thing as the Harbaugh era. We're not scoring touchdowns. We're kicking a lot of field goals, and we're just relying on defense. We have way too many weapons on this team to be scoring 28 points, maybe at most. We should be blowing teams out. There's no killer instinct. And I think Kyle Shanahan uses the whole Jimmy Garoppolo as his quarterback thing as a crutch way too much. With that being said, I think we have 2 years of Trey Lance playing quarterback. If he doesn't win with the personnel that we have, there's no way we're going to be able to pay all these players to stay. And it's going to have to go into almost a full rebuild because I don't know how we can afford to keep all of this top-notch talent and not win anything.
Well, Jimmy coming off the books in terms of any significant number would help that. But the minute you got to pay Trey Lance, if he plays himself into a $30 million contract, yeah, keeping everyone around gets much more difficult. Vince, thank you for the call. Thanks for listening. Junior in Fairfield. What's going on, Junior?
None much. I mean, maybe I'm crazy too. I think Ray is hilarious. But what drives me crazy is listening to all the, quote, 49er faithful fans talk about Shanahan like the grass is going to be greener on the other side. Like, there was a caller who called in a couple days ago talking about 4 different coaches in the league. You know, you got your bad coach, your okay coach, you got your good coach, and then you got your good coach with a good quarterback. So it seems like every game there's 2 to 3 plays where the quarterback is missing a play, an open receiver for a chunk yardage, or sometimes a touchdown. Now, I say the quarterback because we don't know what Trey Lance will do. We don't know if he'll see that open receiver too. But if Shanahan is scheming people open and the quarterback is not seeing the open receiver, how can we criticize Shanahan or saying he's not getting the job done when guys are wide open? And my last point, it seems like when these receivers are left open, it's like the third read on the play. So to me, it looks like teams are taking away the first 2 reads for Jimmy, knowing that he's not going to get over to that third receiver. So I think Shanahan is doing a great job, and I don't think we can do better than what he's doing.
I mean, look, those are salient observations. And what can a quarterback, what can a head coach do to make sure his quarterback's eyes are in the right place? It's a legit question. The answer is coach him. I mean, I don't know how to say it anything more than that. Or maybe don't be the guy who coached his instincts out of him. And I think maybe there is a little of that with Kyle and Jimmy Garoppolo, as often as Garoppolo is cited like, hey, man, when I was at my best, when I just showed up in 2017, I hardly even knew my playbook, and I was just kind of winging it, and it was good. By the way, here was Shanahan. This is I don't know who asked this question, but he basically asked, do you expect Garoppolo to avoid interceptions like the one he threw against Kansas City in Los Angeles?
That's an expectation for any quarterback in this league. That's why this league's very tough to play in as a quarterback. That's why there's not 32 of them, but always. So, the good quarterbacks, you want them to make plays, you want them to be able to let it rip. But sometimes when you have blitz issues and they're not there, the worst case scenario has got to be a sack and not a pick. And that's one I know we'd love to have back.
By the way, it's also somewhere in between an interception and a sack. Throw it away, Jimmy. If you don't see your first two reads, you don't have time to get that third one, and the first read sucks and the second read sucks, throw it away. Jimmy Garoppolo has thrown one ball away. 6 games. One ball. Well, I know he didn't start those first 2. But that's nuts. That's nuts. I mean, that's bad decision-making. Throwing the ball away is a great way to live to fight another down.
I think that's a stat that needs to be contextualized more than it is. 1 is a low number, I grant you. But I don't know I haven't broken down game by game how many balls he should have thrown away.
Get to work.
Okay, I will. You vamp. I'll be back to you about 5:30. No, I think that, his faults include wanting to throw a ball into too tight a space for his arm strength. He does like to let it rip a little bit. And I think Kyle Shanahan fights him on that instinct because he sees that the result is bad as often as it is good. So I think in that way, maybe throwing the ball away a little more often would help. But I don't know how many times a game he should be doing that.
We're going to be talking to Niners starting guard Aaron Banks in just a moment here. The way football practice always works, with their meetings always works, means, hey, maybe Aaron will be here right at the beginning of the segment. If not, we'll take a call or two until we get to Aaron. But all of this is happening in our next uninterrupted segment here on 95.7 The Game, which will also have a little Steve Kerr run back at you from our conversation with Coach earlier today. Damon and Ratto, 95.7 The Game.
At BMW of Fairfield, our guests work with one client advisor through the entire transaction. No handoffs to multiple car salesmen. No waiting for a finance manager to take you to a back room. Client advisors at BMW of Fairfield are thoroughly trained in every aspect of the process so they can lead you efficiently and effectively through the purchase from start to finish. There is a better way. Experience it for yourself at BMW of Fairfield. One price, one person, 1 hour.
This is your time to cash in at Cash Creek Casino Resort. To rock and to roll. Over the hills and bluffs. Go all out or go all in. With 4 stars and rising stars. Now we do more than ever, so you can do as much or as little as you want. It's your time to cash in at Cash Creek Casino Resort.
Everything, our farm, our stand, our pop-up shop, it really all started when we discovered the benefits of local, raw honey for our family.
And then we decided to turn it into a business.
We were looking for something to help us get up and running.
So we got the Chase Business Complete Banking Account.
It's more than a bank account. It comes with Quick Accept, which lets us take card payments anytime, anywhere in the U.S. using the Chase mobile app. Plus, we get same-day deposits at no extra cost. For us, it's more than honey. It's about sharing a little sweetness with the world.
Get the Chase Business Complete Banking Account with the essentials you need to help get your business going. Learn more at chase.com/business-complete-banking. Chase for business. Make more of what's yours. Quick Accept is not available in U.S. territories. Enrollment required. Usage subject to approval. Same-day deposits available for payments before 8 p.m. Eastern Time, Sunday to Friday. Fees and rates apply for checking and processing. Limitations and restrictions apply. Participants compensated. Merchant services provided by Payment Tech LLC and WePay Inc. Subsidiaries of JP Morgan Chase Bank and a member FDIC.
If you owe back taxes to the IRS, have unfiled returns, or are worried about an audit, the IRS is hiring 87,000 new agents to address these very issues. That means if you need to get your tax problems resolved, now is the time to get started. I'm tax attorney Robert Goldstein, and my firm specializes in helping individuals and small businesses resolve their tax problems. We work to stop IRS and state seizures. We may be able to settle your tax debt for pennies on the dollar with an offer in compromise. We prepare your past due returns, even if you have no records, and represent you before the IRS and state in an audit. At the law offices of Robert Goldstein, the consultation is always free, and we have offices located throughout the Bay Area. To schedule your free consultation, call 1-888-TAX-EXIT. That's 888-TAXEXIT. 888-TAX-EXIT, and make us your last stop.
No one knows where this market will go. Right now, it feels like a wild ride. But one thing's for certain, there's a way through it. And the experience and guidance of a Merrill advisor can help you get there. Because where there's a bull, there's a way. Find an advisor in San Francisco at ml.com/bullish.
Merrill, a Bank of America company. What would you like the power to do?
Investing involves risk. Merrill Lynch, Pierce, Fenner & Smith Incorporated, registered broker-dealer, registered investment advisor. Member SIPC, a wholly owned subsidiary of Bank of America Corp.
Cars for Kids, KARS, Cars for Kids, 1-877 Cars for Kids, donate your car today. 1-877 Cars for Kids, KARS, Cars for Kids, 1-877 Cars for Kids, donate your car today.
Donate your car today at carsforkids.org. Your car, running or not, can be picked up as soon as the next day. No title, no problem. Call 877-CARS-FOR-KIDS or go online at carsforkids.org to donate today.
1-877 Cars for Kids, KARS, Cars for Kids, 1-877 Cars for Kids, donate your car today.
Now accepting donations of land, homes, buildings, or any kind of real estate.
Kansas City Steak Company, another AmericanEagle.com success story. Started in 1932 as a family-owned butcher shop, today they're a leading distributor of superior all-American steaks delivered right to your door, ready for the grill and your taste buds. When it came to their website, an average site wouldn't do. They chose AmericanEagle.com to take their website to the next level. With a dramatic increase in competition and a softening market demand, they had two challenges: improve their brand presence and message, and produce a positive return. AmericanEagle.com got to work and executed usability studies and detailed audits of site experience, digital assets, and marketing. The result? An integrated digital marketing and customer experience plan, organic traffic increase of 20%, and a long-term roadmap for success. If you love great steaks, go to kansascitysteaks.com for website design, development, and online solutions that bring efficiency and results. Visit AmericanEagle.com. If you need a results-driven website, call the team at AmericanEagle.com at 877-WebNow1. That's 877-WebNow1.
Now back to Damon and Ratto on 95.7 The Game.
It's great to have you here this afternoon, and if you're on hold to talk about the 49ers, you're just going to have to stay right there and be a little patient for us, because we're about to actually talk to a San Francisco 49er as we head inside the 49ers locker room, brought to you by Harris Ranch Beef. Visit your local Rayleigh's, Bel Air Foods, and Nob Hill Markets for all of your beef and tailgate needs. Today we get to say hello to for the first time ever to Aaron Banks, starting guard of the San Francisco 49ers. Aaron, my name's Damon. You're about to hear from Ray. Thanks so much for joining us today. How are you?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
We're doing very, very well. Let's just start with what we've been talking about and what we've been saying about you. I think that you've become the most underreported, best story on this entire team. You're having a hell of a season for a guy who we hardly got to know at all last year. So let's just start with the congratulations on your personal come up here in the NFL. It's been great to watch.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. What has made it click for you here in your sophomore season?
I talked about it in the summer, was asked about it, but I kind of just took this off season to really kind of change my body and kind of focus on, being able to play the Shanahan offense. You got to be able to run fast and, be strong at the same time and be quick and get off the ball and get to the second level. And and it's something that I really focus on this off season. Working with Dustin Perry and Jordan Mazer, our nutritionist, and Chris Fursick, line coach, just to be the best player I could be this year.
So, what's the first bit of delicious food your nutritionist told you to stay away from?
Man, he told me to stay away from a lot of food. he gave me a bunch of things not to eat, so it was kind of, it wasn't hard, but just had to lock in.
In what specific ways did you have to change your body? Did you have to become stronger in the lower half? What exactly did you have to change physically about yourself?
It wasn't as much of a strength thing, even though, there's always room to get stronger. It was more so just body composition. So, just cutting some fat, putting on some muscle, and, staying around the same weight range while doing that.
What was your level of frustration like last year? Obviously drafted out of Notre Dame in the second round, you probably envisioned yourself playing a larger role in your rookie season than you did. How did you get through that? How did you work through it, remaining patient, knowing what you needed to do?
It's really a testament to the coaches and the front office. They just kept telling me, we still believe in you. We have a plan for you, and just trusting that, buying into whatever they were telling me to do, and just staying locked in and taking each day to day and trying to get better, improve on something each day.
Aaron Banks joining us here on 95.7 The Game. Is there a particular player who took you under his wing and said, look, man, this offense is a little bit of a, and it's not easy to learn, as you just said. It's not easy to necessarily play. You got to remain patient here. Is there someone who really helped mentor you through your rookie year?
Yeah, I actually spent a lot of time under and with Lakin Tomlinson. We'd live together. We talked through a lot of technique stuff. Talked to him and Trent, Alex Mack, Dan Brunskill, Mike Lewis. All those guys really at different points kind of took me on the wing and helped me along the way. But I did spend a lot of time with Lakin.
What was the one point that any of them made that made the light bulb go on over your head? Was there one single thing that one of them said that suddenly crystallized everything for you?
Actually, it was Adam Peters, and I met with him through training camp, and he was, just emphasizing having fun, like playing fast, just let it loose. Because I kind of got into a slump in training camp, and just had to remember, this is a game that I love. And, I got a chance to just kind of cut loose. After the preseason, we had a week of practice before the first week, and, I kind of took that week to kind of fall back in love with football again. Not that I fell out of love with it, but, it's difficult at this level, and, try to come to work with a smile on my face and be excited to do this work.
Was there a single moment that you can remember where all of a sudden you felt it clicking in, that all the things you'd heard from as many guys as you heard them from suddenly just congealed into a moment where you said, aha, that's what they're after?
No, there was no one moment. There was a number of moments where I, started to feel myself like okay, that set works. I can, put my hand there and that works at this level, and just kind of hone in on my technique. But there's really no one moment. It's a grind and it's a marathon, really.
One thing that I don't think television does justice to is the hand fighting that happens at the line of scrimmage. All that's happening under your pads and your helmets, and you're all leaning forward, so it's under your shoulders, and we can't see it. How much hand fighting did you have to learn just to keep the hands off of you of D tackles and D ends?
A lot, and it's great when you get to play against the defensive line, like the guys we have with Kinlaw, Armstead, Kevin Givens, all those guys. They're really good, and so when I get to bank reps against those guys and kind of learn how to play with length and learn how to hand fight with those guys, like it is a fist fight. A lot of people don't see it, but it's a very physical game, even when it doesn't look like it is. So just a testament to our D-line, getting a lot of reps with them, a lot of one-on-ones, a lot of team reps, because those guys are the best of the best.
Aaron Banks here on 95.7 The Game of the San Francisco 49ers. So playing next to Trent Williams probably makes your day a little bit easier, and then not playing next to Trent Williams probably makes your day a little bit harder. Can you talk about how you game plan for that change, whether he's there or not?
I mean, that's where practice comes into play, right? Like, you know, when the weeks that Trent wasn't playing, you know, I'm getting the bank reps with Jalen. I'm getting the bank reps with Colton. You know, whoever's next to me, trying to build that that camaraderie and that cohesiveness, you know, where we don't have to have, you know, a ton of conversation at the line of scrimmage. Like, you know, we say one word and we're both locked in. You know, I know what he's going to do. He knows what I'm going to do.
After 7 games, you've seen a lot of guys use a lot of techniques against you. Have you started to sense that they're trying to that they have sort of a book on what you like to do and how you like to do it, and how have you combated that?
You know, I'm just sticking to my technique. Of course, you know, you got to switch it up a little bit. If you do the same thing every rep all game, you know, they're going to, you know, write something up and dice something up to beat you with it. So I'm just staying to my technique and switching up the hand placement a little bit here and there. But really, it's, you know, you study your opponent. Like, you know what guys are going to do. They know what we're going to do, and just kind of put myself in the best position to win my one-on-one.
Aaron, tell us a little bit about Christian McCaffrey, either walking onto that practice field for the first time or the first time in that locker room. How much did it change the mood of the room just by seeing him in a Niner uniform?
Dudes were excited. And it was, you know, I saw when he first walked into the locker room, I was in there, and he was, you know, he was welcomed with love. Dudes were excited to have him here, you know, getting dapped up by everybody smiling and joking and having a good time. You know, the team really welcomed him with open arms in my eyes. You know, we lucky to have another offensive weapon.
It sounds like somebody walked out of an emergency exit only door. What is there? Is 49ers headquarters being infiltrated or attacked right now?
No.
No, okay, good. I thought we heard an alarm going off behind you there.
He looked around to make sure.
No, man, I didn't even hear it. You heard it better than me.
Is McCaffrey going to crash some of these offensive line meetings to get a better feel for how the blocking scheme and the way you guys run plays out in front of him?
I mean, we have our meetings with, you know, our running backs and stuff, you know, all getting on the same page, but you know, he's doing what he's got to do to help us win. So, you know, if that means he's going to come and, you know, mess with us or whatever, you know, that's on him, and that's on his coaches, and that's on the coaching staff.
Have you found that you need to change not necessarily parts of your technique, but sort of some of the more intricate details of how you block, depending on who you know who's going to get the ball? Or is it just, I need to make this hole this way, and then the running back's on his own?
Nah, man, I don't care who's behind me. I'm gonna try to do my job to the best of my ability to help this team win. So, you know, it doesn't matter if it's Debo, McCaffrey, Jeff Wilson, Ty Davis. It doesn't matter who is behind me. I'm gonna try to do my job to the best of my ability, because, you know, whatever it takes to help this team win.
We're inside the 49ers locker room with guard Aaron Banks here on 95.7 The Game. You're from Alameda. You went to, what, El Cerrito High School. Did you grow up a 49ers fan? If you grew up a Raiders fan, you can admit it.
I'm not from Alameda. I'm from Hayward.
Okay. Well, your Wikipedia page needs an update.
Well, Wikipedia is not always accurate, you know.
No, listen. It's a Notre Dame guy jumping down my throat.
No, that's just the first interview I did after I was drafted. I did grow up a Raiders fan, but that went out the window as soon as I got that call. So my whole family switched over, dumped all the Raiders gear. You know, we're Niners through and through now.
There you go. That's officially how it works. So, again, you know, I go to bad resources because I couldn't get into Notre Dame, but I did go to Indiana. So I know an awful lot about bad football in the state of Indiana. Is this where we should bring up the year that Notre Dame's actually having?
All right, go ahead. Ask away. What you?
Are you still close enough to your Irish playing days when you see home losses to Marshall and Stanford that you get upset about those things?
You know, I mean, I love Notre Dame. That's my alma mater. Of course, I want to see them win. But I don't know the ins and outs of what's going on in that building. I know they do have a lot of good players. They got a lot of talent, and, you know, it just seems like, you know, they might not be clicking on all cylinders all the time. You know, sometimes you know, you may see that they are playing down to the talent level of their opponent. So I think they just have to, you know, bring it every day, no matter who they're playing, who they're lined up against. You know, don't take anybody for granted, because any given day somebody could get you. So you just got to not get got.
Don't get got. Yeah, it's a good life lesson in all areas of life. It really is. I was told that you were given the nickname the Dancing Bear in South Bend. Can you tell us about that, or is it not for air?
No, yeah. You know, that's our OC gave me that my sophomore year. He started calling me that. He just said I was a big dude with good feet, quick feet. I was playing right tackle at that point. So he just kind of started calling me that, and it stuck from there on. They just kept calling me the Dancing Bear.
Do they still call you that now that you work in another building?
Nah, nobody here has called me that. You know, that's kind of stayed in South Bend, or, you know, amongst me and my Notre Dame guys. But no, I haven't heard it much recently.
Do you miss it?
Nah, it's just a nickname, man. It's neither here nor there.
What is the greatest Notre Dame tradition in your mind?
Let me think. What's my favorite tradition? You know, I mean, probably the walk. I actually really enjoyed the walk. You know, through campus to the stadium. You get to see a lot of fans and friends and family there, and, you know, normally you don't get to see them before a game, so it's nice to see those faces and people who are rooting for you, you know, right before a game. Were you shocked to see Brian Kelly develop a Southern accent so quickly? Yeah, no comment, man. that was something. That was something different.
Really, there's an awful lot of twang for a guy who spent time in the region. It really, really was. Aaron?
From the Northeast, so, I mean, I don't know. You know, each their own. Whatever you got to do to, you know, get welcome there.
No doubt. Obviously, you guys took one on the chin against Kansas City. Football's all about turning the page and getting ready for the next opponent. And now you guys are getting ready for a big divisional game down at SoFi. Tell us a little bit about Aaron Donald and what makes him so special, and why do the 49ers seem to contain him better than most teams? Is it the familiarity of seeing him twice a year?
I couldn't tell you, answer that, but I can tell you why, I think he's a good player. I think he plays a really good leverage. He's really accurate with his hands. And he plays a good balance. He's a freak athlete, super strong, and just a well-polished D lineman. He can be a game wrecker. And so, you got a game plan for him. If you don't, he will be that game wrecker. So, we just, in our room, we just try to do do our job to the best of our ability, and, whatever we're asked to do, try to execute that.
Well, I'll tell you,
you play against good players all the time. If you look at our last 3 games, you got Grady Jarrett, you got Chris Jones, you got Aaron Donald again. And so, they're a familiar opponent. I think that definitely helps, but I mean, it's also, you got to play them twice a year, so it's not a one and done type of deal.
How much has this week's message been from Kyle Shanahan that all of your goals that you guys wanted to accomplish at the beginning of this year are still very much out there for you?
Yeah, and I was asked about this the other day. You look at our division, everybody's 1 off of 500 at 7 weeks. It's a very tight race, and, I said this the other day, I think it's still open, still very open division, and, it's anybody's game at this point. So, we try to win our matchups, take each week, 1 week at a time, and try to, go 1-0 each week.
Our friends at Harris Ranch Beef, to thank you for coming on this show today, are going to send you a 10-pound package of porterhouse steaks for joining us, Aaron.
Oh, that's awesome, man. Thank you.
Thank you very much for joining us. Get them to a nice medium rare, and things should go well from you. Hopefully they're not on your banned substance list as you continue to make sure that you're in the perfect shape to play guard in the Shanahan offense. Let me also say, too, Notre Dame guys, they live up to their reputation, man. This was a pleasure talking to you. You were easy to talk to, and we really, really appreciate that. Good luck with everything going forward.
Thank you, man. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. Aaron Banks of the San Francisco 49ers here as we slip into our 5 o'clock hour, about 4 minutes late.
You're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM and HD1 San Francisco. Always live on Twitch, YouTube, and the free Odyssey app. Damn well better be free.
All right, so who's going to go ahead and update his Wikipedia page? What the hell's happening? Normally, they got place of birth correct. You know, it's like the granular details that I don't trust on Wikipedia, but like date of birth, place of birth, that seems like pretty standard stuff they normally
Species.
have. Right? Yes, human, check. There you go. I thought Alameda, maybe you and he had, some good Alameda war stories to get into. But no, Hayward, you probably you don't even know where Hayward is, right?
Oh, I've spent many a dissolute hour in Hayward.
Oh, there you go. Anyways, he was great. He was really great. He was good. Somebody here in the 707 says that the Dancing Bear is a long-running gentleman's club in Oregon. Can you confirm or deny that, Grandy?
No comment.
Oh, it's a confirm. That's it.
He's thrown up outside the Dancing Bear on more than one occasion.
It's better than throwing up inside the Dancing Bear because that gets you thrown out immediately.
Yeah. Grandy also knows the beer stein.
By the way, Grandy also knows how to talk some 49er football on the 415ers podcast. Go ahead and download that bad boy. Look at how happy he is.
He's always happy. He's annoying.
Do you think he shaves? Do you think, Grandy, do you shave at all? You're so young and spry and so full of hope still.
It's a personal question.
Yeah, the fact that he's still full of hope means he hasn't been paying attention.
Give it time.
It should take till the end of the week. He ought to be wised up by now.
If not this industry, this particular show should rob you of all your joie de vivre at some point in time.
Yeah, abandon everything, Grandy. You're going to be praying for the meteor by Christmas.
Okay, thanks, Ray.
You're welcome.
See, it's that kind of positive. Look at it this way. Grandy's trying to get on the champagne deck over at Memorial Stadium for this Cal-Oregon game. I know you got a media credential. You go call Kyle McRae and you say you need to go where the alumni go. You need to be led into the $25,000 annual donation club. That's where you need to be. You need to be on the sushi deck. Yeah. I mean, you're going to be one of 15,000 people at that game. So it's the least they can do is style you out, Grandy. Lucas.
That's a good point. We'll see what we can do.
Get yourself styled out too.
Okay. Thanks.
You're welcome. I'm not going to help or assist in any way, shape, or form. Just send that email. See if it works.
Yeah, Kyle's got us. We're good.
Nice. Ray, have you ever been on the champagne deck at the Memorial?
No.
They would hate you.
People in the press box hate me.
Yeah.
Being hated is not something I'm not familiar with.
Very comfortable. It's called Monday. Where are you from?
I urge it to happen more often.
We're going to have a man who absolutely no one hates at all. Steve Kerr joining us here in just a moment from a conversation that happened earlier today. It was outstanding. We get into Klay Thompson's frustrations and his ejection last night. We get into what Steve has found early in this year that he likes, that he doesn't like. And we got some very cool stuff coming up with Steve Kerr in just a minute. But first, Chris in San Francisco. We were just talking with Aaron Banks about the Niners. He wanted to get in on the Niners. What you got, Chris?
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me on the show. You guys do a great job and love the show.
Thank you.
I had a comment on the topic about extending Shannon. And for me, Shanahan, it comes down to the QB position. He needs to prove he can develop a Tier 1 QB, a QB that can carry the team and win the game when the rest of the units are not performing. We have not had that in his 6 years. We're not getting any closer. If he can't develop a Tier 1 QB by 2024, it's time to move on. And that's my thoughts. Thanks.
Thank you, Chris. Look, I mean, that's the thing. It's impossible to say that he should have the rug pulled out from him this year, at the end of this year, even at the end of next year. Because, look, Trey Lance, whether you want him to or not, has to come with a grace period. I've been getting texts today and been reading on the Xfinity mobile text line how, I can't believe that Kyle Shanahan saw a guy like Justin Fields and passed on him to go with Trey Lance, given Fields' experience and where he came from and who he's played in college and so on and so forth. Let me tell you that you just clearly watched Monday Night Football, because if you had watched Justin Fields any other week leading up to Monday Night Football, you would not be feeling that. I have watched the Justin Fields experience. I'm going to tell you, as someone who his entire life has just been, wishing upon a star that someday the Bears might have their quarterback. I don't know what he is. I don't know if he's going to be successful in the NFL at all.
I know they don't throw the ball very often. I'm not talking about gaudy numbers. I mean, attempts.
Right.
They don't want to throw the ball.
No, they're living in that let's throw it 12 times a game neighborhood.
Yeah. And if you want to get down to it, how many coaches in this league, in fact, have developed an elite quarterback? Contemporarily, there are two. It's Andy Reid and Sean McDermott.
I mean, considering where Tom Brady was drafted, Bill Belichick gets to be in that conversation.
Okay, but I'm saying as of in the right now, those are the only two. Over the last 20 years,
I'd say Justin Herbert's developing nicely. The Chargers' problems aren't his. I would say that Joe Burrow has developed unbelievably well. But these are premium draft picks as well. But so was Trey Lance. Let's be honest. But that was a premium reach, maybe.
It was a premium reach. I think we can definitely say that. We don't know if it's a premium anything other than that. But what I'm saying is, not very many guys develop an elite quarterback. They either come in fully formed and ready to go, or they don't develop.
Can I give you one? Nick Sirianni and what he's doing with Jalen Hurts. It's kind of interesting, right?
It's interesting.
I don't know if he's elite yet.
Yeah, I don't know if he's elite either, but the standard of elite, there are two of those guys. Right now, there are two.
I'll tell you who's elite in Philadelphia. It's Howie Roseman. And Howie got to work again today. Their general manager traded a fourth rounder to the Bears for Robert Quinn. So obviously the Bears saw enough on Monday Night Football that they thought, yeah, let's trade Robert Quinn before we go play the Dallas Cowboys. Howie Roseman, just in this past offseason and this year, has added A.J. Brown, Hassan Reddick, Jordan Davis, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, James Bradbury, Kaiser White, and now Robert Quinn. They've also got the Saints' first-round pick, which is tracking to be a top 5 pick at this particular time, and their own first-rounder to boot.
Yeah, this is the best year he's had in a long time. Because most of the time he had been noted for being a political infighter who got coaches fired.
He knew how to sidle up to the breadwinner that is Jeffrey Luria.
Yeah, no, that's exactly. This is probably the first year where you could point to him and say, that guy's got an idea.
Yeah, no, and he's
up until
got
now, he was more politician than football technician.
We've got ourselves an outstanding conversation with Steve Kerr, and we're going to give it to you right here and now. Now, we all know that they did not win last night, and we all know that Klay Thompson got ejected for the first time in his career last night. But we began our conversation with Steve reminding him that I'm not, Ray's not, nobody who is a clear thinker could possibly be mad about an NBA loss in the month of October. But we felt like, maybe he could tell us where things started to go wrong last night in Phoenix.
I just think that overall, through 4 games, our defense is non-existent, and it's just tough to win games when you're not defending well. So I thought we did a good job to hang in there in the game. We closed the first half decently offensively. We're making shots. We're spreading them out. But when you're not getting stops and you're giving up easy points, either through transition or the foul line, it's just really hard to stay in a game, especially against a great team like Phoenix. So it just showed how much work we have ahead of us. But it's a long season. We'll get there.
Did you get the sense early on? Because I thought my wife even said to me, she said, "Is this game 4 of the season or game 4 of the Western Conference Finals?" Like the blistering pace that game opened up with. Did you think to yourself, this is probably not going to be the night where we settle down defensively, just based on how we're running here? I mean, it was like 8 seconds or less. Everyone was getting a shot.
Right. Yeah, the pace through 4 games has been just ridiculous. I mean, it is so high, unsustainably high. We've always believed in playing with pace, but right now it just feels like I'm looking at a pickup game. We're flying up and down the floor. We're giving up all kinds of transition opportunities to our opponent. We're dead last right now in transition points allowed per game. We're not really playing with a purpose, and that can mean a lot of different things. What that means to me is we're not connecting the game offensively and defensively. When you have good offensive possessions and you take good shots, generally you're in position get back defensively and to get a stop, and vice versa. You play great defense, you're in a better position to score. Right now, there doesn't seem to be much purpose to our game. We're just sort of out there flying around, and even though we're playing hard and guys are trying, we're just kind of rudderless. And there are reasons for that. We can get into that, but you said it. It's really early in the season. We've got a lot of new guys, new faces, young faces. So we got a lot of work to do, but it's exciting just thinking about the challenge ahead.
Well, let's get into that rudderlessness you just referred to. For a team with as much veteran presence as this has, how are you seeing rudderlessness? How are you defining it as it relates to your team through 4 games?
Well, in the detail within the game, it starts with the transition defense. I mean, that's just been abysmal. And it's so hard to gain any traction in a game when a team is just throwing the ball ahead and getting easy buckets against you. Now, the flip side of that is we're doing the same thing to our opponents. We're getting a lot of throw-aheads, a lot of buckets in transition. And as long as our starting 5 is out there, we're fine. We're hanging in games, or we're even dominating games like we did against Sacramento and the Lakers. But this is not a year ago where we're playing 9 or 10 veteran guys who have been around. We're playing a lot of young guys, guys who haven't done this before. Every combination that we throw out there once the starting lineup is broken up is just going to have some youth or some new faces like Dante or JaMychal, and that's never an easy position to be in when you go to a new team, because there's new terminology, new schemes. So it just feels to me like we're a new group that has not yet adjusted to finding an identity.
Given what you just described, would you suggest that that's normal, or is this still abnormal given who you guys are and how you made your reputations defensively?
No, I think this is normal. And coming off of a championship, not only a championship, but our 6th trip to the finals in 8 years, it's hard to expect, Draymond, Klay, Steph, Loon, hard to expect these guys to be in, playoff mode from an intensity standpoint. I think they've all played hard and they've all played well. Wiggs has had a great start to the season. Draymond's pushing in transition over the last few games has been fantastic. So it's not that guys aren't playing hard. It's just the mental focus and attention to detail that it takes to really be connected with a new group is not there yet, and that's what we've got to work towards.
Warriors head coach Steve Kerr here on 95.7 The Game. Klay Thompson tossed for the first time in his career. Did you sense it coming, or were you surprised by it as I think we were?
Well, once it started, where he and Booker were going at it, that I've seen that before. Klay gets into it with opponents. He's so competitive, so that didn't surprise me. But once they really got into it and they had to be separated, I could see Klay's anger. A lot of it was just frustration from the slow start to the season, minutes restriction, not playing in training camp, live minutes, like all that stuff came to the forefront and was part of the frustration that led to the ejection. And I don't think I ever got ejected as a player, but I've been ejected several times as a coach. So I know what he was going through and what he was feeling. And sometimes as a competitor, you just kind of lose your mind, and it happens.
Is it time in any way to forget about the 4 rings for the players who have them and say, hey, according to this season, we've got 0 rings. We're after this ring. And is there something unhealthy about pointing to a ring total?
No, not at all. Not at all. In a moment like that, it's entirely appropriate. Like, if 2 guys are talking trash, you got the ultimate counter. We won. I won. That's always the ultimate counter. Now, that's not going to help us win a 5th, it doesn't mean anything as it relates to trying to win this coming year, but it's definitely something you can use in a trash talking conversation. But I think the bigger point is that over the course of the next couple of months, we have to move forward. From last year, from the last 8 years to this one, and to recognize this is a totally new team, and we're relying on a lot of new players and young players, and this is going to take a lot of work and for all of us. And when we recognize that, I think we're going to be on a good path, but it's going to take a while for all of that to come to fruition.
And I know you don't like talking about players on other teams. You'd rather talk about your own. But to me, I thought that Devin Booker grew up a little bit last night. And the way that he talked about Klay postgame, saying, look, I wanted to be Klay Thompson. I love Klay Thompson, but he has things that I want. It just felt like last night might have been the night where he took over the real leadership reins from maybe even Chris Paul for the Phoenix Suns.
I didn't see any of the post game comments. I didn't look at that, but I've gotten to know Devin because we were in Tokyo at the Olympics last summer. Great guy, hell of a player. He and Klay would actually be good buddies if they were on the same team. They just happened to play the same position, and as Devin said, he wants what Klay has, and that's how this league works. It's the young guys are coming for the older ones. The older guys are trying to, stave off the young guys, and that's sometimes the very best competition there is. So more coming.
Is there a little of that playing out on your own roster?
I think that's an interesting observation. I think the way I would put it is we have to find our identity with this year's group, and that is a very unique time for us. We've never been in this position, really. Last year would be the closest, but you think about this run that we've been on, we've always had veterans coming off the bench who were stabilizers. Sean Livingston, Andre Iguodala, Zaza Pachulia, David West, David Lee. We've had these guys who had been around for a long time, who were helping guide the team, helping lead the team. Now we have a group of guys coming off the bench who are just trying to figure out what's what. And so it's a very different leadership dynamic, very different kind of roster dynamic that we're looking at this year, and that requires different leadership from within and a different way of looking at things. So, as I said, we got a lot of work to do, and that's part of it.
I don't want to play roster construction games after 4 games, but given what you just said, could you use another veteran presence on the bench just sort of as stabilizer? Because maybe in your view, you're too young in position 6 through 10 right now.
No. I think what we need is patience more than anything. You qualified it by saying we're 4 games in, and I will enhance your point and just say that 4 games in, it's way too early to determine something like that. I think you look at Phoenix last night; they're buttoned up, they are ready to play. They're angry from what happened in the playoffs to them last year. They're playing all vets. You can see they have their identity. This is who they are, and they're going to win a lot of games. But for us, it's a matter of developing the young guys and implementing them into the fabric of a group that's been together for a long time, and that in itself just takes a while. And but the exciting thing is we've got talented players. These guys are gifted, and so as they catch up to the ways of the NBA and to the schemes and the things we're trying to accomplish, the ceiling gets higher.
Is that a more difficult process than maybe you might have thought in the abstract, 6 weeks ago? Or did you fully expect this to be the early season dynamic?
I expected some of this. You never really know what you have until you see it, until things start to unfold. I think both Dante and Jamichael are going to be important parts of our team. Dante's injury the last couple of games has hurt us. He's a connector. He's a guy who kind of helps things flow. And one of the reasons I went to Ty Jerome last night, I thought the ball was just sticking, and we needed some flow. And we found a combination out there with Ty and Jordan Poole and Steph and Draymond and that group, and it was like, oh yeah, this looks right, and so we're going to need some of our veteran guys to provide that as the young guys kind of get molded and figure out what this is all about. But it's just a new challenge. Every year's a new challenge. That's one of the things that makes coaching so much fun. You kind of have to figure it out and then help the guys through that whole process.
Steve Kerr, you're on Damon and Ratto. Did you think that Jonathan Kuminga would be more in focus earlier in the year? Do you feel that coming later in the year? I think we were all a little surprised to see Ty Jerome get into the game last night before Jonathan Kuminga. Is there anything to be inferred by that other than what you just said? You thought the ball was sticking and maybe he would unstuck it.
Well, you're talking about a point guard or a four-man. So it's like, this is not a pecking order. This is not like who deserves to go in the game first based on, some random thought. This is, we need a point guard on the floor. So, of course, I'm going to go with the point guard and not the power forward.
Sure. Is there anything to Kuminga's lack of playing time that I just thought we would be seeing more of him early on, especially when you're worried about minutes for your older players. He hasn't been involved very much, or he doesn't appear in first halves.
Well, I mean, you can only play so many guys. It's really hard to play more than 10. Even 10 can be a stretch. We've generally played 10. So if you look at our group, that's you're gonna reach 11 when you look at the players you'd like to see out there. So we don't have enough space when everybody is healthy. But 4 games in, we've got a couple back-to-backs coming up. There's likely to be guys, sitting, likely to be, guys getting banged up. There's going to be plenty of time for JK, for Moses, for Wise. But this is all, it's all part of development. It's, development doesn't just equal playing time in games. It's everything. It's watching film. It's performing in practice. It's learning, it's growing, and so all of our young guys are going to have to go through all of these growing pains. And we got a championship team. We don't, we're not just handing out minutes just for the sake of handing them out. We're actually trying to accomplish something here, and our guys are bought in. They understand that, and they're all going to be fine.
You mentioned the unsustainable pace that you guys have been playing at through 4 games. Is there another number or numbers that when you look at it concerns you more than it would normally after 4 games?
Another number?
A stat or series of stats that trouble you.
We're dead last in transition points allowed in the league. It just looks like a pickup game out there. And so there's just no sense of the importance of taking away the easy points, which is always a key indicator for us as to whether we'll be successful or not. The 30th in transition points allowed, I think 20th in defensive efficiency, maybe 25th in fouling and free throws allowed. So those are all the numbers I'm looking at that we have to get cleaned up.
Steve, there's been a ton of finger wagging, obviously, at Draymond Green. We all know why. Here's the very first thing I have to say about Draymond. Boy, he was right to get that tech last night. I mean it. Like, I don't normally support Draymond Green technicals, but that was well-earned. He deserved to say what the hell happened there. You deserved to have his back in that moment. And if you had lost that game by the margin of those free throws, I'm still cool with it. That was a terrible no call. Will you be sending that video to the league?
No. I think we're not in the practice of sending video into the league. There's missed calls every game, and that's just part of it. And I had no problem with Draymond getting the tee. They had missed a similar one in the first half when he got fouled at the rim, where the refs ruled that it was a verticality play that was definitely not a clean verticality play. So he was upset. I was upset. It happens. You just move on. I haven't thought twice about it since last night.
I know you don't want to give us the lineups for the back-to-backs that you're going to be dealing with, but has that already been planned out with you and the training staff? Who might sit when?
Yeah, not yet. Not yet. That will be a discussion for the next couple of days, and so we'll see how that goes. But to the point I made earlier, there's going to be opportunities for players to be out there, and everyone's just got to stay ready.
Steve, thank you so very much, man. We really appreciate all the time that you give us in your interviews and early start to the year here. It's so good to have the Warriors back. I mean, I'm just a basketball junkie, so I know it's going to all start working out, and everybody finds their own level, but it's always a fascinating process to watch unfold and how you pull the strings to make it all happen. We appreciate your time as always, man. Good luck Thursday night against Miami, and then bon voyage for the 5-gamer.
Sounds good. Thanks, fellas. We'll see you later.
Steve Kerr here on 95.7 The Game from earlier today. Always good to catch up with Coach. And, he did say some pretty interesting things there about how he doesn't have enough time to hand out to a team this deep. The minutes are going to be hard to come by. And no one, just based on where they're drafted or based on their curiosity in developing them, is going to be handed minutes they have not earned. And I don't think there was much, Ray, to Stephen A. Smith's, the Warriors aren't happy with Jonathan Kuminga's offseason. But I'm going to tell you, I don't know if I was necessarily happy with the Jonathan Kuminga offseason, because he looks very much the same player that he looked like last year. Yeah, it's all athleticism, and he's got a spin move. He's got an electric spin move, but there isn't an awful lot, as the kids say, in the bag.
It's taken a while for him to comprehend that athleticism is the bare minimum for being in this league.
Right.
And I think until he develops some nuance to his game, and by nuance, I mean a recognition that there are other guys on the floor and that you have to play with them rather than alone, aside them. But I think that's also normal for guys with as little experience as he has. And I think that was probably a problem with James Weissman as well. And I think it was a bit of the problem that Jordan Poole had for 2.5 years. It's that the hardest thing about being a pro is recognizing that you're playing with other pros. And you have to work off them and work with them rather than just be on the floor.
And let's be quite honest. A lot of guys who you see as young, up-and-coming players in the NBA are drafted because their physical attributes and athleticism is so unquestionable that you just want that archetype, and then you will install the skill and the knowledge into those players that it takes to really become a basketball player. There are a whole bunch of guys in this league who could have used 2 more years of college. There's no doubt. The skill set that players used to show up in the NBA with doesn't exist on the same level that it used to, while the athleticism that enters the NBA is leaps and bounds above where it used to be.
And here's the odd thing, is that as many teams that take 18 and 19-year-olds planning to develop them don't have a very good track record of developing them. Because one of the things that never gets mentioned when you talk about a guy's upside is that achieving that upside is extraordinarily difficult, even by NBA standards. There are hundreds of players who came into the league with an extraordinary physical skill set and never got better.
Right. It's the reason why you'll forget half the names drafted every year.
Yeah, and half is being generous. You know, the draft is 6 guys who will be in the league in 5 years. It's that, you know, even if you just get a journeyman, you've done well.
Oh, yeah.
So when a guy washes out, you know, gets one, you know, gets a rookie contract and then
Doesn't
he's
see
in
a
Europe.
second contract.
Yeah. You know, that's the norm. The exception is the guy who comes in at 18 and by 20 is a guy who must be reckoned with. I mean, Kobe Bryant is rare because he's rare. You know, he was the guy that everybody thought, gee, he's awfully young to get picked there. And within 2 years, everybody in the league was pointing at the teams that didn't take him going, how stupid could you be?
Right. But I mean, I remember early return. I remember air balls in Utah. You do too. I mean, the mythology of Kobe Bryant doesn't line up with the truth of Kobe Bryant's career very well at all. There were a lot of struggles and a lot of figuring it out that Kobe had to go through on his way to becoming Kobe.
But he was also so maniacal that he would not just go to the gym and shoot around. He ate tape and he listened to people telling him, when this happens, you have to be ready to do that. And the most underrated part of his game was how smart he was. That he could pick things up and pick them up quickly, which is why in 2 years he was an all-NBA player. When at 18, he could shoot an air ball in Utah with the best of them.
Have you seen the Redeem Team documentary? It's on Netflix.
Yeah.
It's good.
It's good, but it's also a little too polished for me.
Oh,
it's it's like there were never any issues with any of that. You know, no, there were plenty of issues. There always are. And when you see a documentary like that is lacquered over so smoothly, you go, I'm not getting the full flavor of this. And I think that's the thing that
I mean, all the ugliness gets scrubbed from the history books.
Yeah, but you know what? I want to know what the ugliness is, because that's stuff that they overcame to become what they were. That's when you hear these stories of adversity and you go, well, what the hell does that mean? I want to see those. I mean, to this day, I remain frustrated by David West saying, you guys don't know the half of it. Because we still don't know the half of it. And I think when the Warrior story is
I think we might know a little bit more now. We can infer just a touch more now.
A hair, but that's about it.
We're still guessing.
Yeah, but I mean, that's the thing, is to get a full and unadorned picture of this team will take 10 more years. And it's going to be done by somebody who wasn't there for the day-to-day, because that's how this gets told now.
Somebody from the 650 decided they would take time out of their day to share with us, as if we did not know, on the Xfinity mobile text line, LeBron was very good his first year. Thank you.
Well,
thank you very much.
But he's the exceptional exception.
Exactly. So you're telling me that you saw an early indication that one of the 3 undebatable greatest basketball players of all time was good? Boy, you should be a scout.
I mean, but I guess he's raising a point that frankly is just buttressing ours, which is that those guys are preposterously rare.
Right. It's a once-in-a-generation type of player.
Yeah. It's even more spaced out than that, because when you break this down, who are the guys who hit the ground running? Wilt Chamberlain.
Kareem. Michael.
Oh, even he had some run-up.
Run-up to playoff success.
Well,
correct, but he was like,
you could tell he was a good player, but you didn't know what he was going to be till about year 3. He looked pretty good, and I think some people thought, man, he could be special, but nobody was quite sure until it suddenly congealed for him with guys around him. Because that's the other thing that makes greatness. Being great by yourself, the most you can hope for is to be Carmelo Anthony. But to be like recognizable top 5 of all time, it takes guys around you and a coach who knows how to get the best out of you. That's why I tend to laugh when people go, well, you could just see him on the floor, you could tell he was going to be special. No, special comes.
Yeah, I'm glad I looked this up, because I there was no determining how long it took for Michael Jordan in his rookie year averaged 28 a night.
No, I understand what the numbers were, but in terms of how great he was going to be. It took a couple of years. He could put up numbers. And those were a couple of bad Bulls teams, as I recall. But once he got surrounded by other guys and could play off them, then you saw the depth and breadth of his game. He was a really good individual player. But those aren't the guys who last. The guys who last are the guys who learn to incorporate other people into the thoughts of the coach and general manager, and you get an organization.
Well, and that's what Phil Jackson's, management of minds and egos was best at. He convinced Michael Jordan, someone who played as if he did not need teammates, that you need these teammates.
Then that's my point. Yeah, you could see Michael Jordan was an exceptional athlete and player, but to be a basketball player, you have to be able to play with the other 4 guys on your team and figure out the weaknesses of the other 5 guys on the team, on the opposition. I mean, that's why Michael Jordan became Michael Jordan, because he became a fully formed player, not just an athlete.
One of the great defensive players of all time as well.
You can't be a great defensive player unless you're defending someone.
True. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. When we come on back, what if I told you there was a What If Wednesday around your corner? Would you feel good about it? I hope you would, because that is indeed what is
have a choice.
happening here on 95.7 The Game, so stay tuned. We are brought to you by Fremont Bank, full-service banking, no compromises.
In Santa Clara, clear skies overnight, lows in the mid-40s.
Weather brought to you by Pfizer and BioNTech. This fall, there are now updated COVID-19 booster shots designed for recent Omicron variants. Learn more and schedule your updated booster at vaccines.gov.
Everything, our farm, our stand, our pop-up shop, it really all started when we discovered the benefits of local, raw honey for our family.
And then we decided to turn it into a business.
We were looking for something to help us get up and running.
So we got the Chase Business Complete Banking Account.
It's more than a bank account. It comes with quick accept, which lets us take card payments anytime, anywhere in the U.S. using the Chase mobile app. Plus, we get same-day deposits at no extra cost. For us, it's more than honey. It's about sharing a little sweetness with the world.
Get the Chase Business Complete Banking Account with the essentials you need to help get your business going. Learn more at chase.com/business-complete-banking. Chase for Business. Make more of what's yours. Quick Accept is not available in U.S. territories. Enrollment required. Usage subject to approval. Same-day deposits available for payments before 8 p.m. Eastern Time, Sunday to Friday. Fees and rates apply for checking and processing. Limitations and restrictions apply. Participants compensated. Merchant services provided by Payment Tech LLC and WePay Inc. Subsidiaries of J.P. Morgan Chase Bank and a member FDIC.
For 25 years, Buy Right Market in San Francisco has partnered with purveyors of deliciousness to bring you local food that adds a dash of unique to every meal and celebration. Hi friends, this is Jamie, Buy Right's head of product. And this season, whether you're planning an elaborate meal, watching the game, heading to a friend's, or cozying up for a night in, Buy Right will help you savor what matters most. Pre-order your holiday meals at buyrightmarket.com or stop by and discover something unique for yourself. Gather, share, and enjoy with Buy Right.
The issues in local elections across the country have far-reaching implications for the Bay Area. We're breaking these issues down on The Home Stretch, Odyssey's new original podcast. I'm political reporter Doug Sovereign. Each week I'll talk to a range of experts to give you a 15-minute download of the most pressing issues on this year's ballot.
I would argue that the economic anxiety has been far higher than any actual economic problems over most of that period.
KCBS delivers all news all the time on the Odyssey app. And listen to The Home Stretch on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Neuropathy pain? Call Dr. Robert Dees, DC, 925-393-0100.
There's a reason Comcast Business powers more businesses than any other provider. Actually, there's a few. Comcast Business offers the fastest, reliable network, the peace of mind that comes with Security Edge, helping to protect all your connected devices, and the most reliable 5G mobile network. Want me to keep going? I can. Whether your small business is starting or growing, you need Comcast Business. Technology solutions that put you ahead and give you serious savings. Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
Get started with fast speeds and advanced security for just $49.99 a month for 12 months with no annual contract. Plus, ask how to get up to a $750 prepaid card with a qualifying bundle. Offer ends 12/5/2022. Restrictions apply. New Comcast Business 50 megabits per second internet and Security Edge customers only. EcoBill and autopay required. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra and subject to change. Most reliable based on RootMetrics US report. Results vary, not an endorsement.
Are you interested in new career opportunities in the Bay Area and want to make a difference in your community? The San Francisco Sheriff's Office is looking for people considering a job in law enforcement right now. If you're at least 20 years or older with a high school diploma or equivalent, the San Francisco Sheriff's Office wants to hear from you. Enjoy full benefits, flexible schedules, and opportunities for growth and promotion. For employment announcements and more information, visit sfsheriff.com. That's sfsheriff.com to apply today.
95.7 The Game has your tickets to the Good Guys Car Show, November 12th and 13th at the Alameda County Fairgrounds. For your shot to win, head to 957thegame.com/contests.
Finding the right Medicare plan? Oof, no easy feat. Kind of like those dances my granddaughter loves making me do. But then I found Walgreens Find Rx coverage. Lets you compare plans online, over the phone, or in person. Made Medicare shopping so easy. Plus, I found plans with low-cost copays. I can get down with that. When you need to talk Medicare, Walgreens is here. Start shopping today at walgreens.com/Medicare.
Do you know what people see when they Google you? Search engines don't always get it right. And when they're wrong, it's your reputation on the line. So what do you do when you don't agree with your search results? Call Reputation Defender at 800-831-0771. Reputation Defender by Norton is one of the most trusted names in online reputation repair. We have over a decade of experience in fixing people's search results, and we can help you too. Using cutting-edge approaches, Reputation Defender pushes unflattering information down to lower pages of your search results, where few people ever look. We also promote the good stuff so that it rises to the top, letting you put your best foot forward. Your good name is too valuable to leave to the whims of a Google algorithm. You owe it to yourself to take control with Reputation Defender. Visit www.reputationdefender.com or call 800-831-0771 for free advice on your situation. 800-831-0771. That's 800-831-0771.
You might not have the biggest garage on the block, but with eBay Motors, there's 122 million parts right at your fingertips. Whatever you need, there's something that fits your vehicle. Air filters, tires, seat covers, and more. Get the right parts at the right prices. ebaymotors.com. Let's ride.
Here's what happened today on The Game. Presented by the County of Santa Clara. The morning roast from 6 to 9.
I hope the Phoenix Suns make it to a round.
You know what this is? Them losing before they face the Warriors.
No, I need them to face the Warriors. I want to knock out Chris Paul one more time.
Willard and Dibs from 9 to noon.
As long as Klay Thompson is a Golden State Warrior and Steve Kerr is the head coach, Klay Thompson is not coming off the bench. Full stop, period.
Steiny and Guru from noon to 3.
They're 20 years old. Oh, well, they can just step in and be championship players. You think it's easy? It's not easy.
And Damon and Ratto from 3 to 6.
When you got to start going to the let's count my rings while you're literally counting point totals that are drifting into the low 30s against me, you're not counting the right thing.
The best of the game. Presented by the County of Santa Clara. Book a COVID-19 booster shot now at sccfreevax.org or call 211. Now back to Damon and Ratto on 95.7 The Game.
Well, I can tell you, coming up next, we got Warriors Roundtable happening. Our pals Kevin Dana and Gary St. Jean. I'm sure they're going to be reacting to last night's loss in Phoenix, a 2-2 start, and much, much more. Warriors Roundtable from 6 to 7 tonight, right here on 95.7 The Game, so stay tuned. To wrap up what we were talking about, somebody here from the 510, Ray, says, Ray, by your logic, Kevin Willis was great because he lasted a really long time. I mean, I don't think Ray would tell you that he was great, but anyone who wanted to tell you that Kevin Willis wasn't good would be out of their mind. You don't get a 21-year-long career without having night in value in some way, shape, or form in this league.
I have no response to that guy. I mean, I'm just going to let it go.
Here's the thing. Let me drift a little bit more into the lane of the now. And when I say the now, I mean I'm very old, so this feels like the now to me. You know, he used to get ripped all the time because he never lived up to the hype and the reputation that came out of college, which when he graduated was nothing short of the greatest college basketball player anyone had seen in modern times. Christian Laettner. Christian Laettner coming out of Duke, did more, won more, and was studlier than just about anyone who ever had a career in college. He was unbelievable. And then he was instantly declared a bum, even though during his rookie year he averaged 18 points a night. And he never really turned into Christian Laettner beyond his Duke years. But you know what Christian Laettner had? He had a 13-year-long NBA career. You wish you were a bum to the level of a 13-year-old. Ray and I will have done very, very well for ourselves if we are a kind of bum that a 13-year NBA journeyman is. Like, there are worse ways to make a living.
Joe Smith, picked first by the Warriors, wasn't extraordinary. Look how many years he played.
Well, how many?
It's 15.
Okay.
He was in the league forever, which meant he was useful to any number of teams.
Someone keeps giving him contracts.
You don't have to be great, but you have to be useful.
Remember, the worst player in any professional game that you're watching is 1,000 times better at their job than the worst person that you work with wherever you work.
Which in many cases is you.
Me?
No, not you. You know what I meant.
I know what you meant.
Don't question me. Not this close to quitting time.
By the way, I got a what if for you. Before we get into What If Wednesday, what if I told you that this was a really big week in London for Nathaniel Hackett? I don't know if you guys have seen the rumor that came out today. Word on the street is that Hackett could lose his job if the Broncos are to lose Sunday in London to Jacksonville. And let me just say, if that's actually the way that Denver feels about this, if there's any truth to that at all, he should be fired today. He should be fired today. To try to evaluate an entire career, whether this guy should be our coach going forward based on one day of football data points, is not how you make any long-term decision in any way that can be taken credibly. I mean, if that's true, if they really feel that way about Nathaniel Hackett should go over to England knowing that the dollar's doing very well against their currency right now and he can take himself a nice vacation.
There's a level of logic in what you're saying. But what I suspect the inference is that they're not ready to fire him yet, but they're leaning that way. And if the Broncos are as inert as they've been most of this season, they could see the new owner, and that's the key here, a brand new owner saying, no,
and if
I'm not putting up with this
If
anymore.
they feel that locker room is just officially already gonzo, that's something else too.
Maybe, but I don't know if that would weigh into it as much as the owner's sick of this. Because I don't know that the new owner was there when Hackett got hired.
Lucas, what do you got?
Think about how bad Nathaniel Hackett would have to be to get fired after, 7 games, when Urban Meyer just last season lasted 13 in one of the worst debacles of an NFL coaching career we've ever seen.
Imagine if Nathaniel Hackett were grabbing some blonde's rear end in Columbus, Ohio. That might be the best thing that ever happened to the Denver Broncos.
Ew. But the other thing is, remember that the guy who hired Urban Meyer is the guy who was the owner when he fired him after 13 games. It takes a lot to get an owner to admit a mistake that he himself made.
Hand-selected.
Yeah, that's the guy we want. Oh, my God, that's the guy we got to get rid of.
By the way, it's a home game. Jacksonville is London's team. And on that note...
And London desperately wants them to leave.
What if?
What if I told you?
Well, I tell you, Lucas, what have you cooked up for us today?
Neiman Marcus, gentlemen, is offering a day-long experience with Scottie Pippen and Scottie Pippen Jr. that includes a private dinner.
Hold on. I'm sorry. I wasn't aware that either Scottie Pippen or Neiman Marcus were still in business, so I'm just happy for both at this point. So let's go.
They're offering a day-long experience with the two of them that includes a private dinner, a sample of Pippen's bourbon Digits, and a signed copy of Pippen's book Unguarded. For the lovely low price of $333,000 to spend a day with the Pippens. Now, that of course begs the question, what if you were offering a day in the life of Damon Bruce or Ray Ratto? What would you do and how much would it cost?
For $15.75, I'm going to hand you the second PlayStation remote. It's a PS5, by the way. And we're going to sit there. We're going to play a little Madden. We're going to put it in the air. We're going to eat some good food. That's about it. For $15.75, you can hang out with me. Yeah, if we drift into six figures, no one's going to bid on that. At 15 cents, we might have to take 75 cents off that. For $15.
That's a steal, honestly.
For $10, I'd pay you to stay away.
Fair enough. What would the Ray Ratto experience be?
Me not answering the door when you ring the doorbell.
Ooh.
I mean, literally. Just, no, go away. We're closed.
I'm going to show up at your house one night.
Well, then I'll have to buy a Rottweiler.
With a $10 bill in my hand saying, I am here for the full experience.
No. I'd give you the 10. I'd give you the 10 to drive off. In fact, I'd give you the 10 in advance to never approach the door.
You give me $20 right now, I promise I'll never even step foot on the island of Alameda.
You're not worth $20.
Ah.
I'm offering you 10 that you didn't have to work for. Then again, you've been doing this for how many years?
But 20 means you'd only have to run into me here, which is essentially the deal we got right now.
Well, I'm running into you now, paying you nothing.
I don't think you understand the value of me not darkening your doorstep. That should be illegal.
Nobody knows it more than I do.
22. No bong rips, Damon? Look, not since the stroke. We're just going to put it in the air the good old-fashioned way. Not ripping bongs since the stroke, Ray.
What discipline.
Thank you.
What a hero of health.
Thanks to Steve Kerr and Aaron Banks. Warriors Roundtable coming up next. Sports don't build character. They reveal it.
And like that,